Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, September 21st, 2021, and we're here for a town board meeting and also a CDA meeting. As always, we're going to begin with the pledge. Tim, can you please take the lead?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tim. And Frank, do we have someone from our faith?
Yes,
to join
in
us today?
keeping with our tradition of having a faith-based invocation, we have Reverend Janet Wright with us today from Interfaith Minister. So thank you for being here.
Welcome.
Thank you. Madam Supervisor, board members, and wonderful community of Riverhead. We've all come from a busy day, so just take a deep breath and let it go. And join me in prayer. O Holy One of many names, we call your presence here at this time and place to guide this gathering to work together for all the people who reside in this town. Let us place ourselves in an attitude of respect for one another. Settle us so that we may sincerely listen and hear and understand one another. O God, we give thanks for human government that makes our society possible. We ask that you direct our elected officials on the path of justice and righteousness as they examine the issues of this evening's meeting. May the citizens assembled here explain their concerns in a civil and polite manner. In your wisdom and grace, you have called us all together in this place this evening. May we be a blessing to one another. As a Christian, I pray in the name of God, and yet in this room, we know, oh God, you have many names. So I ask this blessing by whatever way or name we call you, in great confidence that you will hear and love us all. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you. Okay, before we begin with our regular meeting, I am pleased to honor a longtime Riverhead resident, Joyce Montage. She has been a lifetime member of the in public service to our community. Joyce joined the Riverhead Fire Department Ladies Auxiliary 70 years ago on June 13th, 1951, and has devoted countless hours in support of our fire department and its members. On behalf of myself and the entire town board, we would like to thank Joyce and present her with a proclamation for her dedication and support to our town. Joyce, can you come forward?
Let you get the
I'll be right there. Proclamation to her, and I think they're going to take a picture. Yep. Yeah, good girl.
Freedom.
Yeah, I know. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
No, he thought it was gonna be freezing. Okay, moving on forward, we have two quick announcements today. Tomorrow, Wednesday, September 22nd at 6 PM, right here in the Riverhead Town Boardroom, we'll be hosting our first quarterly water forum meeting. We are pleased to have been able to put this together with the assistance of Kenneth Rothwell and hope that it will be the beginning of a productive and constructive dialogue regarding access to clean, safe, adequate water. Residents may attend in person, or they can attend via Zoom, and the credentials are listed on our website, or they can watch it on Channel 22. All are welcomed. This Saturday, our Recreation Department is holding the 24th Annual Snapper Tournament at the riverfront. Registration begins at 10 o'clock, and it's free for anglers under 15, and $20 for those anglers who are 16 years and older. So we're going to see you there. It's going to be a fun afternoon. You're going to see people catching fish and measure them, and it's a family event, and the weather's supposed to be good. Am I correct still?
Yes.
On Saturday?
Saturday looks
So we're
good.
gonna have good weather. Then after the Snapper Tournament, from 4 PM to 8 PM, all are encouraged to come down again to see the first ever Oktoberfest on our riverfront. There will be live music, food, contests, and all types of family fun activities. In addition to the Oktoberfest, later on in the evening, the Reflections exhibit in the park will be open until 10 PM. So Saturday looks like it's going to be a full day of activities for everyone and for the families, and we hope to see you on and around town.
I'm just
Riverhead
gonna
High
add,
School
I
has
just
the
want,
homecoming also
Right.
on
Okay.
Saturday.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
that's
add
right.
in, for all the Blue Waves fans, Saturday is Riverhead High School's homecoming, and there's a parade that starts at noon, and then the game, I believe, starts at 1:30.
And we'll all be there, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep, we have to see them.
Exciting weekend.
Yes. And lastly, the next meeting for our comprehensive plan will focus on Wading River and Manorville. It will take place on September 27, 2021 at 6 PM at the Senior Center on Shade Tree Lane in Aquabog. The meeting will be held in person or by Zoom, and eventually we are recording them, and we will be putting them up on our website for all to see. So we are now going to move forward, and can I have a first and a second to close the town board meeting and open the CDA meeting, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Diane, can you please call the vote?
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
The town board meeting is closed and the CBA meeting is now open.
So Dawn Thomas, our CDA director, can you please come forward? Good evening.
She is
I was a clairvoyant. Good evening, everyone. Tonight's meeting, we have just two resolutions to approve the minutes of the August 17th and August 26th meetings. So I can go ahead and call the resolution to approve, or just to approve the minutes of the August 17th, 2021 meeting. We need a motion and a second.
So move to move the
Minutes.
minutes, yes.
Okay,
You know what I mean.
yes,
Seconded.
okay.
Vote,
Rothwell,
please.
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Minutes of August 17th are approved, and the minutes of August 26th, we need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Vote, please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Okay, those minutes are adopted too, and I think the next thing on the agenda is to open it up to general comments from the public on CDA matters.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name's Kathy McGraw. I'm from Northville. Excuse me. Good evening, Supervisor and Town Board members. The sale of land at EPCAL to Calverton Aviation Technology appears to me to be on hold pending the ruling on the town's Article 78 lawsuit against the DEC on the issue of who will provide water to EPCAL. But if one reads the November 20th notice of incomplete application from the DEC that was sent to the town regarding its eight lot subdivision, if you read that notice, it's pretty clear that in addition to the water issue, the DEC also told the town it needs the following information and/or clarifications to complete the application for approval of the 8-lot subdivision. Number one, it needs a new standalone comprehensive habitat protection plan that details the ecological communities of concern and discusses how they are likely to be impacted by the full build-out proposal for the proposed 8-lot division. The DEC provided detailed requirements to the town for submission of the new habitat protection plan, including a new map and specific exhibits. Secondly, the DEC asked for a revised seeker consistency analysis that refers to the new habitat protection plan and its new associated exhibits, including maps. And third, the DEC asked for an index or table of contents of all exhibits in both the seeker consistency analysis and the habitat protection plan. So my question tonight is, what have you, the town board, done to complete the DEC application with respect to these matters? I am suspecting nothing. Are you planning to simply wait for the court ruling on the water issue, or are you moving forward now to get ready to complete these other critical parts of the application? Supervisor Aguiar, I can't help but wonder if you are maybe in fact dragging your feet on completing these other critical requirements for the 8-lot subdivision, after hearing your interview on WRIV last week, in which you said you would support an unused airstrip at EPCAL becoming a permanent site for drag racing should the deal with CAT fall through. I'd really like to know what is your honest intention here. Do you want to complete the sale of EPCAL to CAT, or do you want a permanent drag strip at EPCAL? Would you please comment for everyone here tonight as to what your intentions are? The people of Riverhead have the right to know just what's going on with this property. So would you be so kind as to tell us now what your plans are? Thank you very much.
You're welcome. This is, Ms. McGraw, I know you are fully aware that this is a 5-member board, and not one person can make a distinct decision on their own. And at the moment, it's under litigation, and I'm going to have our town attorney respond on that, in that regard.
Well, I mean, I know the question was whether litigation is putting it on hold, and of course that we're waiting for the resolution of that issue. I defer to Mr. Eisler, who's been handling that. That certainly is something that I'm not sure how to answer the question, because I don't think the question was really the question of whether the litigation prevents us from moving forward with the incomplete application, but certainly the litigation is something that we are waiting the decision on. I would note that, as the supervisor pointed out, she's one of 5 board members, and the question of answering that incomplete notice of incomplete application is something that the board can attest to and determine whether they want to proceed with the CAT deal or not. But I'm not sure I'm answering the question, because I'm not sure exactly what the question is. Maybe
Well, my question is, obviously the pending lawsuit is there, but still, no matter how that comes out, the town is going to have to complete the application with the DEC. So are we just sitting around thumbing our nose, waiting until we see what happens with the litigation? Or are you actively completing the other requirements that DEC has asked for?
Well, it's my understanding that my office has been working. I see the billings that have come in from Mr. Eisler, who has been working conjunctively with Deputy Town Attorney Anne Marie Prudente to address the concerns from DEC. This is something that I can tell you, it seems like every month we are going back and forth with them and trying to fill the gaps or the items that DEC says they are looking for, which have been extensive. And every time we seem to respond, it results in a new litany of things that were not previously brought up by DEC. It seems like we're, this is my phrase, not anybody else's, I think we're shooting skeet or shooting clays because it seems to move. But I can tell you that my office has been working conjunctively with outside counsel to get the process moving while we wait to see the results of that litigation.
Is there a new habitat protection plan being done?
This isn't a question and answer. Ms. McGraw, we appreciate your comments, and
But the answer is yes, we've been working
we'll,
on it.
and concerning the drag strip, if the board pursues it, if it does happen, we're not, the town is not gonna not go through any sale, and make it a drag strip. That I can assure you. The town land, it's provided to us for economic development, and that's our main intention, and that's where it's going. If somebody puts in another permit, and next year's next year, and it gets approved, it gets approved. We make a decision as a board, not single one individual out, and it seems that recently that's what's going on. People have agendas and they single out one individual, but again, we make decision as a board. And not everybody agrees all the time, but as long as 3 people agree, then we move forward with the 3 individuals, so, with their decisions. So, Dawn, did you want to?
I just also confirm that work is underway, and in addition to Mr. Eisler, our environmental consultant, Jeff Seaman, is engaged to do that as well, so.
That's correct.
Yeah, so nothing's been left
Okay,
to
thank you,
to
Dawn.
wait.
And I just want to chime in that I do think people from the public ought to be able to come to these meetings and come to the mic and ask us questions. We work for the public, so
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing, certainly for people to be asking questions of us and have a give and take. I think that's what we're here for. And I think it's very confusing to the community that on one hand, you're moving forward with the deal with 555 at EPCAL, and yet on the other hand, saying that you're going to have drag racing there. So I think that, it should be one or the other. I don't understand how you're promising both. Certainly seems like pandering for votes.
Okay,
Can I just say, I think it's not a perfect contract, 555, but it's something in which we inherited. And I would like to see the sale go through for the main reason to get this property on our tax rolls and to start getting a higher quality of job opportunities available within the area and the region. So the contract's not perfect, but both runways are included in it. And so if the sale goes through, we get the revenue from the sale and we get the tax on the tax rolls.
Well,
So that's
certainly.
important. I think
and-
maybe the comment, if I can speak,
Sorry,
Ken.
Ken.
I think the comment in which I heard, and forgive me Supervisor, but asked about a drag strip is if there was a delay, would we entertain any other type of venue to continue, whether it be a drag strip, a balloon festival, fireworks, Wading River Fire Department needs a place to hold their annual banquet for their celebration next year. These are all things you still consider, and you listen to people, and you keep an open mind to utilize the space potentially until the sale goes through. But the sale is our priority.
and making accusations that you are the sole lone wolf going in one direction, that's not appropriate. And of course, we always want to hear from the public, but when it becomes something that appears to be political, then I don't think we should be going back and forth. And the public is always welcome. You can email us, you can write to us, you can call us, you can contact the clerk's office, and we all welcome that. So moving forward, is there anyone that wants to come forward?
I wanted to make one more comment. Certainly, I don't speak of myself as a lone wolf, but I consider myself a fellow board member. But at the EPCAL property, that is one of our greatest assets in Riverhead, and certainly that is an area that we need to look to for bringing revenue into the town and offsetting our taxes and bringing in good jobs. So it's certainly something that we need to be very careful about what we're doing there. And certainly, there have been a lot of red flags, even just this past week, with the steel.
Okay, anyone else want to come forward on the resolutions?
Okay, we can close the CDA meeting and open
I
the
think we're
town.
going to close it, I don't see
board
anyone
meeting?
else, so hearing no one, can I have a first and a second to close the CDA meeting and continue with the town board meeting, please?
So moved?
Second?
Roll,
Roth-
please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrat,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
CDA meeting is closed and the town board meeting is over.
Thank you, Dawn. Okay, Diane, do we have the minutes?
There are no minutes ready from the past meetings, so we don't have that, but
Communications?
I do have plenty of
One or two.
correspondence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a long
Right.
list.
Okay, I'll start from the beginning here. Under correspondence, I had a letter from Diana Bicolo, and she's questioning time limits for public speakers during public hearings at town board meetings. Robert Skinner sent a letter requesting information on a beach committee that was mentioned at a meeting. Nancy Rep from the First Congregational Church sent a letter just reporting unwelcome misuse of church grounds. Kelly McClinchy sent a letter with comments on agreement for the salvage car storage at EPCAL. Jessica Ensman sent a letter regarding the public hearing on the moratorium of the development of commercial solar energy production systems. And there were 5 letters regarding noise levels from drag racing at EPCAL. George Gunnarsson, Steve Carrington, Steve Gessler, Donna Poole. They all sent those letters. And then I had 27 letters regarding proposed legislation to amend Chapter 207, and that's animals. I'll read the names.
Yeah.
Is that- Yes? Okay,
Read the
sure.
names.
Yeah. Vivian Perez, Jennifer Greenie, Paige Pay, Michael Wilcox, someone from Queensbury Pet Zone, Gary Nuttleman, Scott Middleman, Janice Meyer, Joseph Tracy, Mary Cashicano, I apologize.
Pretty good.
Linda Goldsmith, Devin Vazano, someone whose email address was Folky64, Cheryl Pinzone, MF Gaff, Stephanie Capri, Deborah Wetzel, Jennifer Brooks, Jessica Selmer, Keith F. Lewin, and that is not the Keith Lewin that owns the pet shop, that's the other one. Scott Millman, Priscilla Mizrahi, Kevin Schulte, Cindy Rathbone, Joanne Dallas, Lori Adler, John Ballo. And I did receive another one that came in late, so it didn't make it onto the agenda. And that was from, hold on, Joanne Cave. I did receive 2 other pieces of correspondence, another one from George Gudmundson, and this is about the closure of a gas station in Calverton. And then another one from Jesse Bonfeld and Margot LeBeau, and that is regarding noise in the Jamesport area from venues who have events, weddings and such. And that's all I have for correspondence. But then I'll move on to reports. If I can find that here. The building department submitted their monthly report for August. That was $80,543. The police department submitted their monthly report for August. And that's it for reports.
Okay, great. Thank you, Diane. Moving forward, we are going to start our public hearing. Today, our first public hearing is scheduled for 6:05. The time now is 6:38. And we're going to open up the public hearing for consideration of a proposed law to amend Chapter 213 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Bicycles. This hearing is centered on the use of electric scooters, and I'll ask Ken Rothwell to please expand on this legislation.
So this current legislation that we're looking at is to address scooters. There was a inquiry early on this year about the potential of a shared program similar to the bike share program involving scooters. But I think first we need to address the safety matter of scooters themselves. And so we put together legislation that, for safety reasons, says that scooters, for example, can't be operated on sidewalks, that a helmet would be required, that they can't travel on roads that go over 30 miles an hour, and there's also has a speed limit on them. You can't use drugs, alcohol. So it's really a great safety mechanism to address some of the concerns, so that we create a foundation before we can entertain any type of share program with scooters. So the Code Revision Committee has worked on it, done a great job, and I thank Councilman Hubbard as well for insight, and our Attorney's Department. Eric has worked great on this, so I'll yield the floor to you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. All right, so like Ken said, this is two-pronged. It first of all authorizes operation of electric scooters on Riverhead Town roads, and it implements a option for the town to entertain a shared electric scooter system, which has become somewhat popular. The legislation that we've drafted follows on New York State Assembly legislation that was passed in or about April last year, 2020. And was, with respect to electric scooters, was effective August 2, 2020, and it allows operation of electric scooters on New York State highways and roadways, but it refers time, manner, and place regulations to local municipalities. And so that's what this legislation is designed to address. And as Ken said, there's safety features built into it, the 15 mile per hour speed limit, the use of a helmet while you're operating the electric scooter, and the restriction of operation of a scooter on roadways with a posted speed limit of 30 miles, greater than 30 miles per hour. Moving to the shared system, this is sort of designed to be a test, and it's limited to the downtown area, which was already defined in Chapter 213. And so that downtown area definition is incorporated into the legislation for the purposes of the shared electric scooter systems. The local regulations that we put in also prohibit the use of these electric scooters at the recreation trails out at EPCAL. And the operation of electric scooters are not permitted along Main Street in downtown Riverhead, and not on sidewalks. And the legislation refers enforcement to the Riverhead Police Department and provides some penalties for town code violations should the police, stop anybody using electric scooter improperly, which I would imagine would mostly be maybe a helmet violation or a riding on the sidewalk violation.
Yeah.
You mentioned the EPCAL trail, the scooters. Just curious, are electric bikes allowed out there? Because I saw a couple out there the other day, and it just doesn't actually seem safe.
It's interesting that you bring that up. When they implemented the legislation regulating electric scooters, the state legislature also implemented regulations regarding electric bikes. So if we wanted electric bikes, we would need to adopt similar legislation to this regulating time, manner, and place. But right now, they're not authorized for use within the town of Riverhead. So that would be improper.
Right, I'll have to send someone out there, because I was surprised it doesn't seem safe.
Right.
Okay, do we have anyone from the public who wish to comment on this? Any town board members further? Oh,
Before we have our first speaker come forward, I just have a brief statement to make, Supervisor, regarding the comments for the public hearings today. It's the overarching goal of this administration to foster an environment that allows for public participation. However, at all times, there must be order and decorum, and speakers must be respectful of the town board and the comment policy. Anyone choosing to speak should direct their comments to the entire town board and is reminded that the town board is here to listen, not necessarily to respond or express views or opinions. While the Riverhead Town Code does not indicate a time limit on public hearing comments, the line of comment must remain on topic of the subject public hearing. In addition, speakers are asked to please be concise and courteous to the town board and to other speakers in the room. Bob, did you have any comments beyond that?
No, just that, as stated before, there are adopted rules for the town board that were adopted in 2013 and then again in 2019. I think there was some comments that came up at the last meeting about when there's a public hearing, is there a limit on the length of time a person can speak? And the answer is no, although we try to have people keep their comments limited. The 5-minute rule is really applicable to public comments that come with respect to resolutions and with respect to open comment period at the end of the meeting when the town board has finished up with resolutions. As indicated, the comments should be, I think we've indicated that the comments are addressed to the board as a whole, and we're looking to hear from everybody, but at the same time maintaining decorum. So, with that said,
Mary Beth Andreson,
Hey, how are you?
Church Lane,
I hope you
Aquabog.
can behave, Mary Beth.
It's very
Welcome back.
interesting that all came up before I stood up to speak, isn't it? I don't know if that was pointed or not.
Mary Beth.
I just have a question about, is there an age limit for these scooters?
Oh,
I mean, just a question, like, do 10-year-olds qualify to ride them? I mean, heard nothing about age. Question.
Eric?
hold on a second, let me run the meeting. I wanted to.
I can speak.
I know you can't too much. I don't think it was addressed on the age, so maybe.
It's not addressed under our local law, but under the VTL, they have to be 16 years of age.
Okay.
And when I say VTL, I mean the New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law.
Okay.
And just following his comment, there is a statement in this proposed local law that says that it's either this legislation or the VTL that will control, and where there are more stringent provisions or higher standards, those shall govern.
Okay, so that's clear. Any questions? Anyone else? Anyone in Zoom? Okay, I think we're fine. Hearing no one, I'm going to close this public hearing. It is 6:21. We're going to leave it open for 10 days for comments at the clerk's office, and that's going to be on, Devin? The 30th, that's what I thought. 4:30 PM, September 30th, 2021, at the town clerk's office. Moving forward, our second public hearing is scheduled for 6:10 PM, and it is now 6:22. Oh, excuse me, 6:42, thank you. And we are opening this hearing for consideration of a proposed local law to add Chapter 302 to the Riverhead Town Code entitled Moratorium of Development of Commercial Solar Energy Systems within the town of Riverhead. I'll ask the town attorney, Bob Kazakevich, to expand on this most recent version of this effort to temporarily halt new solar projects here in Riverhead until our comprehensive plan is updated. I have proposed this legislation back, I believe it was in February 2020. I didn't have the support then, and I'm hoping that we have no solar projects pending, and we have the clear way to adopt this, and I'll have Bob describe this matter further.
Just before you do, I'm going to excuse myself, as I have in the past, from this discussion item, and I want to just remain consistent on it.
Don't go too far. Roll up there. Bob?
Yes. The proposal that's before the board today would be to add a new Chapter 302. It is calling for a moratorium on what we refer to as commercial solar energy production systems. This is similar to the legislation that was proposed last year, and that it is a 12-month moratorium. Some additional language was added in order to take a stab at making it clear that it's really aimed at those systems that are defined in Article L, boy, I should know this, 52 of the Code of the Town of Riverhead. And it is not designed to capture or stop where those that are otherwise allowed as rooftop installations under Section 217F of the Code of the Town of Riverhead, which is a code provision that was adopted a few years prior to allow for rooftop installations to go forward. And that was done before we put in place the Commercial Solar Energy System Code. I know that there's some additional comments I received at or about the time this legislation was being proposed, so I'm eagerly awaiting to hear how we may be able to fine-tune it. But it is a 12-month proposed time period for the moratorium. One thing it also does not capture is any of those that had were submitted or had been put into the town as per a request for proposals. And I know, and I apologize to Councilperson Kent and the board. I know that there was a question raised about a prior RFP. That RFP was awarded in 2019 in June to two entities as alternatives, and it was subject to them getting approvals from PSEG, which we have not heard anything further. But there was on June 4th of 2019, by resolution 219-462, the town board did pass a resolution that awarded M-Power, EM Power Solar, an award for landfill renewable energy project, and as an alternate, Agilitas Energy, the alternate if M-Power chooses not to proceed forward. That was done on June 4th, 2019, provided for them to seek out and obtain a feasibility for such electrical plan from PSEJ. To my knowledge, we haven't received anything in furtherance from either applicant that they've been able to establish a electrical interconnection. The M-Power proposal proposed a 20-year lease that started at $182,000 per year with a 2% increase, and Agilitas was at a lesser amount of $108,000. But those are not designed to be captured by this.
Right, and I understand that. I mean, I'd like to figure out why, I mean, you're saying they haven't moved, we need to move it forward because that's actually what bring in good revenue for the town.
We had awarded it to them with the understanding that they would then go to PSEG to see if they can.
And that's where it's stalled.
That's where it's ended. As far as I can tell, I don't see anything further that's happened after that.
And this does not affect residential or commercial solar, or in this case, the case that the attorney's speaking about, we particularly are looking at zip code, the Calverton area for the moment, okay? And the comprehensive plan is going to address this. The community is going to be involved. We're going to have we have all types of teams working, whether environmentalists, we have engineers, we have civic groups, we have community groups, and the public is going to decide that. So we're going to just put a stop, see where we're going. We've heard a lot, and you could agree, Bob, from people in Calverton, they are really tired of just seeing solar farms at the moment, and I think this was the best way to address it. Just put a stop and let the comprehensive plan dictate where we're going. And again, the comprehensive plan is a community effort. It's very, very intense, and we are having 3 more community meetings, is it, coming up at the end of the month, and bring up solar. We want to hear your input on it. Does anyone from the public want to be heard on this? Good evening.
Daniel Sullivan,
Okay.
Support Advisors. I work with a different array of developers in the community. We're more than welcome to hit your landfill with solar and provide that for you. You've all received emails on that for the past year or so. Happy to move forward on it. It's all there. We're ready to go. We'd like to do a study of the implementation, of what's allowed, what the infrastructure can hold. It's news to me. I implore you to utilize
Dan,
that
can you
aspect.
come to a work session in the
Any
very
day.
near future?
Any
Just
day.
I know that you have in the past,
Yep.
but it's not fresh in people's mind at the moment, and that it's a great idea. And so call the office and set up a work session.
I look forward to it, and please also, this would be a community solar. Much of the community right now, you guys know it, solar as utility scale or merchant scale. With community solar, there's a direct community benefit of 10% on the subscribers. And the subscribers can be the municipality itself, up to 40% of the 100%, and then 60% goes out to the constituents, so you would get a 10% monthly savings on your electricity. So it's community solar, so there is a direct community benefit,
Okay,
and
so
that's what we'd
we'll-
look to implement.
we'll
Great,
bring
thank
it
you for
up
your
on-
time, all.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Good evening. Can you identify who you are, David, and your hamlet, or where you're from?
Sure. Good evening. Good evening to the public and the board. My name is Mazia Deleli, and I'm with a company called IPP Solar. We're actually a solar company. I'm one of the founders of the company, and we are based in New York City in business since 2008. We have done numerous commercial and industrial projects, and I'm here because I wanted to emphasize on the fact that, I understand there is some resistance here, and there is an appetite to sort of take a step back in order to readjust things and so on. But we have a project coming up. It's not a very large project, but it's a rooftop project. I just want to make sure that ground mount and rooftops are not mixed up. The project that we have, for example, and I think a lot of other projects, rooftop projects, are along the same way. They are on the roof, they are non-visible from the outside, and so if there is a concern about the aesthetics from the outside, I think that the rooftop projects should not raise any issues for anyone. They don't make any noise, they're just not visible. So that's an important point. I want to make sure that if you have a moratorium, we do not include rooftop projects.
Are you talking about commercial?
Correct.
We've made it a point over and over. It does, and I just repeated it a little earlier. It doesn't concern commercial. It doesn't concern residents, and we're concentrating on in the area where people don't want to see it anymore, and that's in Calverton. And we're
Understood.
talking about solar farms. But you're talking about two different.
Understood. I mean,
approaches.
I had a long conversation with Mr. Bergman, and I thought, it would be good to come. I came all the way to New York City to make sure that this is clear. And I want to add a couple of other things, if you allow me. Forgive me if I take a couple of more minutes. So this is something that you're going to see coming up a lot, and I think this is part of your plans, is to also put together a model law for energy storage. What's going on right now in the state is the state wants to deploy a lot of energy storage. And the incentives that you are now getting are essentially going to energy storage. Solar standalone in Long Island almost does not work anymore. The state wants you to do solar only if you put energy storage. So, and it takes for probably a good year, 9 months before your study with PSE Engie Long Island gets anywhere. It's just incredibly, frustrating. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is. And so I certainly urge the town to find a way to accelerate putting together this model law, because it's not just going to help more solar. It's also going to help the town and the island in general. You should just know that the state is trying to deploy a massive amount of renewable, including solar and wind farms that are going to come offshore. And if you look at some studies done, for example, in the beautiful country of Ireland, they have a lot of wind farms offshore. And what that causes, it causes wind stability issues with regard to the grid. Essentially, the frequency is no longer set at 60 hertz where it's supposed to be. It may end up being all over the place. So a lot of people are not going to like that, but it's just the nature of things. And what batteries, energy storage does is it helps stabilize the grid. So it's very important that everyone understand that although energy storage comes with its own negatives, it's not, the perfect solution, but it will help a lot to stabilize the grid, which we all obviously take for granted. And so I wanted to, just bring that important point as well. We are developers. We've been doing it. We actually completed the first energy storage coupled with community solar in the state of New York, and we had a very nice ribbon cutting with the current Governor Hochul, who came to the event last year, and NYSERDA and so on. So you can use us as a resource. We'll be more than happy to help the town. We've done it with other towns. For example, the town of Greenberg in Westchester, where we helped them to navigate through the whole process to get their model law done after a year of research and studying and so on. So if there are any questions, I'll be happy.
Thank you, Mr. Mazar. I fully understand, and I believe Brookhaven is working in that direction, and so is Southampton.
Correct.
So it's something that we are looking at, and we're going to have a work session on it, and you're more than welcome to come to the work session, okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have anyone else? Do we have anyone on Zoom? Okay. Okay, can you bring them forward, please?
Hi, evening, everyone. Am I on?
Good evening, how are you?
Good. How's it going, everyone?
Good, we can hear you. Perfect.
Great. Well, thank you for having me on this evening. My name is Ryan Madden. I'm the sustainability organizer with the Long Island Progressive Coalition. We're a grassroots community-based organization founded in 1979. I first want to thank the board and the town attorney for being responsive to the concerns that were raised last year, and even more recently around the all-encompassing nature of the original proposed moratorium, to make sure that it is not halting projects on things like affordable housing developments, on houses of worship, and of course residential projects. But we are still a signatory to a letter that was resubmitted last year of over almost 25 partners, which includes a lot of labor organizations, environmental groups, and other community groups, raising concerns around still the implications of this proposal as it could halt necessary economic development. And as was noted by, I think, another speaker, the kind of ambitious climate goals we have in New York State. Just given that and the state of the crisis that is the ecological and climate crisis of our times, just thinking about the implications of what it looks like for a town to put a halt to development on a form of energy that we need to be expanding rapidly, not only by legal mandate, but by moral mandate. I understand there's a want to be careful around overdevelopment, around respecting open space and land use. But I also think that there are better ways to handle that in a more case-by-case approach rather than a moratorium that shuts the door for a year and again will create headlines like "Town on Long Island halts solar developments." Just thinking about the implications of what that means in the hour of the climate crisis when we need to be rapidly moving away from fossil fuels, I think has larger implications than outside. And so just encourage you to reassess the intent of this and what else could be accomplished to achieve the same aims, while noting the particularly organized community labor and environmental support that still stands in opposition to the moratorium, while of course again appreciating the amendments that have been made. So I will leave it there and appreciate your time. Again, encourage you to revisit that letter, the constituencies it represents, and the calls that are being made there. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Anyone else? Jim? That's it? Hi. Did you want to come up?
Yes, please. Good evening, my name is Taku Turchin, I'm with Calverton Civic. I'd like to read a letter into the record from Barbara Blass, so this is not my time, but these are her words. Regarding the public hearing comments on solar moratorium 9/21/2021. Good evening, Supervisor and members of the Town Board. In the planning world, the time to have analyzed the potential impacts of rezoning 1,000 acres to provide for commercial solar energy facilities is at least 7 years and 700 acres too late. A GEIS would have been done in 2014 when the town rezoned 1,000 acres for this use. The lead agency status discussion surrounding the NextEra project in June of 2019 presented the second, more timely opportunity for a moratorium. The planning board asked the town board to consider a solar moratorium in a memo which stated in part, quote, "It's not that any of us are opposed to solar, but the general concern is with how fast these applications are coming in and how many have been approved in one region of the town," end quote. The planning board did not have the benefit of any analysis of the potential cumulative impacts or proposed mitigation, and wisely asked the town board to take that necessary time out to do just that. Obviously, that request fell on deaf ears. And then there was the seeker review of the NextEra project itself. The reasons for the solar moratorium in the whereas clauses of the resolution are exactly the reasons the public was calling for a POSDEC, meaning positive declaration, and an EIS on NextEra. How can you now say you have to take time out to study the cumulative impacts, primary and secondary, from all these solar projects when that is exactly what seeker is for? A NextEra EIS would have had to address all the issues you are now saying have to be studied, because solar installations are impacting the Calverton community. In Part 2 of the EAF, the town actually acknowledged that NextEra would have moderate to large impacts on agriculture, which should have triggered an EIS. But this board swallowed the NEGDEC, meaning negative declaration pill, again, and explained away those concerns in the EAF Part 3. The statement of purpose for this moratorium is an outright admission that you skirted your obligations under SECRA and violated the very intent and purpose of the law. This disingenuous action by this board is nothing more than veiled theatrics. This is an impotent moratorium staged during silly season and far from a genuine concern for local environmental impacts. I heard a member of this board say that now is the perfect time for a moratorium because, quote, "we have no projects in the pipeline, no applications," end quote. That's an embarrassing comment, and one you would only hear in Riverhead. Thank you, Barbara Blass. Thank you very much.
If I remember Barbara Blass, when solar was put into the comprehensive plan back many years ago, she was responsible for that, but she's not here right now. It is a statement, and we're going to move forward from that. Anyone else, sir, did you want to come up? Yeah, sure, by all means. You will. Devin?
My name is George Gudmundsson, and I live in Timber Park in Calverton. I'd like to speak on just a couple of topics, and I say hello to all of you tonight. I'd like to speak...
Just so you know, you can only speak on the
This is
solar
on
at this time.
the solar moratorium.
Oh, only on the solar.
There is a
Can I
time to
come
talk
back?
about-
I'm sorry, I'm too early. I'll come
Yeah.
back.
That's at
Thank
the end
you.
for public comments? Okay, when we say to any type of comment, that's at the end.
Unless it's on a resolution. So if there's no one else coming up, I do want to talk a little bit about the solar moratorium. It's actually not true that there wasn't support on the board for the moratorium. I was in support of the moratorium. I know Mr. Hubbard was in support of the moratorium. Mr. Rothwell was not here, and Mr. Bayrock has to step out of the room. So Mr. Hubbard and I were both in support of this. The issue for me was, this got tabled actually, the issue for me was that this did not include the two major projects in Calverton, and I felt that if you're really doing a solar moratorium, you include the two major projects. So now we have 660 acres of solar in Calverton. So this moratorium is a little late. Certainly at this point, I feel that, at this juncture, we have no option still but to take a pause. And I know that, the Calverton community did speak up about this over and over, and the Calverton community is actually speaking up with concerns about all the build-out in their area. All of the major projects, including the solar, are now going into Calverton, and I think that they would like to see the moratorium broadened to take a look at other projects coming into their community as well. I would recommend to the people in Calverton and the people in Bating Hollow that they attend the forum for the comprehensive plan update, which is on September 28th at 6 p.m. at the Senior Center in Riverhead. It's very important that your voices be heard. And I also did want to mention, as to the comprehensive plan, I attended the one at the Senior Center for Jamesport, Laurel, South Jamesport, Aquabog, Northville, and there were serious concerns with the Zoom that evening. The people that were coming in by Zoom couldn't hear anything, and actually there were problems visually. I did email and have reached out to the company and have requested that they do another Zoom for that community since they did not get to participate, and I did reach out to our IT department about resolving the issues, which I know they are working on. So those are concerns for me, and I believe those are all my points. Thank you.
Any other comments?
The moratorium, I supported going back a couple of years back. The big thing for me was so many projects came in like in a short time period, and it really kind of caught, I think, our planning department a bit off guard because so much came in and we really hadn't dealt with them with solar farms. Now that we're redoing the comprehensive plan, to do the moratorium, to me, is a good idea again, because what it does is it'll be addressed in the comprehensive plan, and then after that, the GEIS will have to be done to actually make it into the zoning so we can actually have something that will work for solar farms in the future or not work for them. But it will help us as a town be able to decide yay or nay, is it good there, is it not good there, and it will give us a better understanding of where we can put these solar farms, and or maybe we won't put any more in at all. We don't know. But it gives us the time to stop, pump the brakes, and get the comprehensive plan done. As we know, that's a little bit behind because of the pandemic. But like I said, it will give us the opportunity to have the GEIS done and then go with it through zoning and get it implemented so we'll be able to do the right thing.
And I did want to add in also that I support renewable energy, but anytime that you have a lot of one use that you're putting into one area, which obviously with 660 acres of solar in Calverton is a lot of one use, you really need to look at the cumulative impacts, and actually that was why I did not support the neg deck for that. But at this point, I do think the timing is odd on this, but I think that we still have to move forward with it, and we need to take a pause and look at everything.
Anyone else? Chip? No one? All right, hearing from no one, it is 7:08. We're going to close this public hearing. We're going to leave it open for 10 days at the clerk's office, 4:30 p.m. on September 30th, 2021 at the town clerk's office. Moving forward, our third public hearing today was scheduled for 6:15. It is now 7:14. And we're now going to open the public hearing for consideration of a proposed law to amend Chapter 253 of the Riverhead Town Code entitled Outdoor Dining. This was an effort myself, the building department, and the fire marshal took this effort under COVID to help our distressed restaurants when they were limited in capacity and food service. Here in Riverhead, we've completed the effort in 4 days over the Memorial Day weekend a year ago. On that following Tuesday, we were able to get applications in. We enabled the use of internet to submit applications. It was free of charge. Restaurants can participate. And once the application was received within 2 to 3 days, they would be inspected and have and receive a fire marshal's inspection, and a day thereafter, they would have their permit. So it was very, very swift. It was very, very successful. It doesn't apply to every single restaurant. There were some exceptions made. The fire marshal has to address those. But what we want to do here is those restaurants that comply with all the local regulations, that we are going to make that permanent, and this will help the restaurant. It has helped them, and it's the least that we can do.
Supervisor, I just commend you on this because this really was early on, this was a lifeline to restaurants during COVID, and it was an effort for restaurants to be able to survive financially, to be able to utilize the outside dining, and it has proven successful, and so we want to continue for them to have that opportunity, and I think this is good because it simply addresses safety factors and making sure that we still have clear walkways, inspections from the fire department. Some of the things, concerns that were brought up early on was that when we're doing this, our most common upfront parking spaces are handicap spaces, so we want to make sure that those are always protected and that we're not losing any handicap access going in and out, ramps and so forth. So this was a great way to just tighten up all the safety aspects of it and keep that lifeline going to the restaurant. So I commend you, this is great.
Thank you, and we also have the planner. Is Jeff on Zoom?
He's on Zoom, but I think he wanted me to kind of make some comments.
Okay,
and,
great.
If I can, and then
Absolutely.
he can fill in. Because I think he wanted to point out what was here and kind of differentiate it from what I'm going to call the outdoor dining seating that was the result of the COVID. Because during the COVID, it was more of a amnesty period as opposed to a codification. So we had pre-COVID, Chapter 253, which was adopted in 2004 and had certain limitations on where an individual could have a sidewalk cafe. So the legislation was in place, and as the supervisor pointed out, as a result of COVID, we adopted this amnesty wherein people were allowed to do outdoor dining that would fall outside the scope of Chapter 253 as it existed in March of last year. The current amnesty, if you will, is set to expire on September 30th. So those businesses that have been given the benefit of the outdoor dining permits will need to go back to indoor dining unless we can do something with respect to the operation of sidewalk cafes, which is why this legislation is going forward. The legislation is looking to add some additional things and make some changes. We're going to provide for an annual revocable permit. That's the annual is new. In the past, it was the town board that was the body that would issue those permits. Instead, it's going to be the fire marshal who was the entity that was looking at those outdoor approvals during the COVID period of time. The other amendment is that this particular legislation would be applicable to certain zoning districts, namely DC1, DC2, DC3, and VC, which is Village Center. There are some additional restrictions that have been placed in with respect to where and how the sidewalk cafe can be placed on the sidewalk. So those Exact measurements are now set forth. It must be directly in front of the building, and it cannot be more than 6 feet from the exterior of the wall unless otherwise approved by the Chief Fire Marshal. Permitted hours of operation are now set forth at 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. And with the exception of retractable awnings, we are not allowing for any sort of permanent structures to be located in the sidewalks. The sidewalk cafes may not utilize any public amenities such as benches, seats, municipal trash receptacles, which are provided for the public's use and therefore can't be utilized by the business. And then there's a description of how the annual permit is to be made, to whom it's to be made, in this case the Office of Fire Marshal, on a form that's going to be provided for by the town. Again, the determination on the permit has now been revised so that it's no longer the building department making the determination, it is the fire marshal. So again, this is specifically amending Chapter 53 to hopefully widen its scope and help those businesses that had been able to utilize this during COVID. There is a $150 fee.
Bob, I just have one quick question, not on behalf of myself, but on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce. I had a meeting with them last week, and they were under the impression, and I don't know if they're right or not, that the actual permit application is going to go from 3 pages to 10 pages so that it mimics Southampton's permit application. Is that true?
We have circulated a proposed application that was a little bit more lengthy to address concerns. So
Of course, they were favoring the shorter of the two, that's what, I'm just bringing it up.
Oh, we haven't adopted the form yet.
Okay, so maybe we can sit down or they can sit down and talk to.
But yeah, the form that's been reviewed and discussed in some ways did mimic or follow Southampton's.
Okay, thanks.
And they are always looking for shorter forms.
Yes.
I just would like to say that this is a win-win. I think this is really fabulous. I'm excited to make this permanent. This is certainly something that the Downtown Revitalization Committee, that I have always advocated for along with the committee, because this helps create more of a vibrant downtown and gets people moving about in the downtown area. And as I said, it's a win-win because it helps our restaurants, certainly our restaurants and our small businesses. You know, we want to do whatever we can do to help them because they've certainly had a rough year. I think it creates a great ambiance in the downtown. Certainly for those of you that it's always nice to go to, I'm just going to do a shout out to some of the restaurants. We've got Farm Country, who actually has dining on the river, and Turquoise Grill, and the Seaside Grill over behind the Hyatt. Those are always really pleasant experiences. So I think this is fabulous, and I'm glad we're moving forward with it.
Whenever you drive through a town or a village and you see outdoor dining, it just makes that place more inviting. It's not a sterile drive if there's nothing out there, but if you have cafes and people sitting out at tables, it's a much homier appeal, and I think it's going to do wonders for downtown and help those restaurants.
Okay. At this point, we're going to open it up to the public. Does anyone from the public want to make a comment? Chip, do we have anyone? There's no one there.
Because everybody loves it.
Yes, how can you not love it?
We're all at dinner
We
sitting
finally got the
outside.
one issue.
Yeah, right.
Congratulations, boy.
Congratulations, you did it right. So moving forward to 7/17, we're going to close this public hearing. We're going to leave it open for 10 days until 4:30 at the town clerk's office on September 30th, 2021. This concludes our public portion of our meeting today, and we're going to move on to public comments on the resolutions before us today. Does anyone from the public have any comments on the resolutions only that are before us today?
Before we get into comments, Supervisor, from the public, I have yet another statement to make. I know everybody's happy about that, so we'll just read this real quick. It is the overarching goal of this administration to foster an environment that allows for public participation. However, at all times, there must be order and decorum, and speakers must be respectful of the town board and the need for order. Please note, speakers will be allowed 5 minutes in which they can make all of their comments. And the comment period is just that. It is a 5-minute window in which members of the public may let their voices be heard on a subject or subjects, but it is not a forum for back-and-forth dialogue, questioning, and debate. While New York State open meetings law clearly states that it, quote, does not require the public body to offer the public an opportunity to be heard, close quote, the town supervisor is the presiding officer of the meeting and seeks to elicit community participation provided order and decorum is maintained. Please be reminded you will have 5 minutes to make comments. The town board may or may not respond, and if they do, that does not, quote, stop the clock. You will be informed when there are 30 seconds left, at which time you must conclude your comments. Please be respectful of these rules and procedures. And Bob, I didn't know if you have anything else you wanted to add?
I think you said it.
Okay.
It's a 5-minute comment period. You know, we look for decorum, we look for respect. Comments are addressed to the town board as a whole. And with that said.
Kathy McGraw again from Northville. Good evening. I'd like to comment on Resolution 619, in which the town assumes lead agency status and issues a negative declaration for the site plan for a building at 205 Osborne Avenue. There's a right way and a wrong way for the town board to conduct the business of governing this town. I'm a lawyer and I'm a stickler for following the rules. Now well into your second year as supervisor, one would expect you and your staff to have mastered the right way by now, Supervisor Aguirre. But this resolution, 619, is a prime example of either an inability to learn or an utter lack of interest in doing things the right way. Over the past 20 months, there have been countless resolutions that I've seen nunc pro tunc, meaning they are passed today to approve actions that were already taken without the proper authorization. For example, the resolution to hire Frank Eisler to file a lawsuit against the DEC was approved after the lawsuit had already been filed. A resolution to appoint a new member to the ZBA, the Zoning Board of Appeals, was approved before the resignation, or at least put forward, before the resignation of the previous member had even been officially received. And now tonight, sadly, the failure to do things the right way seems to continue as you plan to vote on Resolution 619. This resolution issues a secret negative declaration, which is a finding that this project has no significant impacts on the environment, and it is the town board issuing this finding on what I would describe as a wannabe site plan for a 5-story building with 39 apartments at 205 Osborne Avenue. Plain and simple, this site plan should not be before you tonight for a SECRA evaluation. Surely you understand that this plan is pending before the Zoning Board of Appeals for consideration of not 1, 2, or 3 variances, but 9 variances concerning required setbacks, buffer zones, number of parking spaces, size of parking spaces, and uplighting that violates the dark skies ordinance. This building, as now drawn, violates the zoning code of this town 9 different ways. The ZBA will consider these variances just 2 days from now on Thursday. And depending on what they do, the site plan may very well be changed should some or all of the variances not be granted. So I ask, how on earth can you all, the town board, issue a negative declaration on this wannabe site plan that violates the zoning code in 9 different ways? Do you know something the rest of us don't know? Is approval of the variances a slam dunk before the ZBA? Or, as Barbara Blast pointed out in her comments on Nextera, do you just not care about a meaningful application of SECRA requirements? The site plan you are giving a neg deck under secret to tonight in Resolution 619, I believe the number is, yes, 619, may very well not be the final site plan for this project. It all depends on the ZBA's actions on the requested variances. Why the rush to move forward with this secret determination before you actually have the final site plan? You are putting the cart before the horse.
Ms. McGraw, you have 30 seconds left.
This resolution is premature, out of order, and I ask that you table it tonight, pending the ZBA's action on the variances. Thank you very much.
Bob, did you want to comment on that? And Dawn?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of rehashing about seeker tonight, and a lot of comments about seeker throughout. And unless the court challenges them and throws them out, the seeker record stands, and it seems like we keep continuing to rehash things. With respect to this, the seeker statute requires that a seeker determination be rendered as soon as possible and as early as possible by the lead agency. That's what seeker says. And where there's multiple bodies involved, the lead agency, whoever that agency may be, is the party that's charged with making that secret determination. That's exactly what this town board's doing. And in fact, the secret determination and action needs to be done before the zoning board can act.
correct.
The zoning
That's what
board
I was
needs
just
a,
gonna
the
point
zoning
out.
board needs a secret determination in order to act.
The zoning board
Without it,
can't
the
act.
zoning board can't act. So that's fundamental seeker. And I hope that is clear. Thank you.
I did have one other question about this. Well, it wasn't in the packet at work session, obviously. I didn't see it in the packet yesterday morning, so I didn't know when this went in the packet. It didn't seem to me as though there was 24 hours so that the public knew about commenting on it. It was not in the packet yesterday morning.
I think it was discussed Thursday, was it not?
Well, we did talk about it. I didn't think it was finalized that it would go into the packet, but I didn't,
It
I
was
mean, shouldn't
discussed
it
and
be in the
agreed at
packet
work
20
session amongst the board that it would be added to
But it
this
doesn't
meeting
need to be
today.
in the packet 24 hours for the public to have an opportunity to weigh in on it and be alerted that it's coming. It's a controversial project. I think the public should have had really clear notice that it was going to be voted on.
And I believe, Diane, it was in the agenda packet that was circulated yesterday?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't see it in the morning.
It was, it
Okay.
was. Anyone else on resolutions?
Yes, my name is Gwen Mack. I'm with the Church of the Harvest Food Pantry, Resolution 523. We are a 100% volunteer organization serving approximately 250 needy individuals each week. We rely upon donations from the public and grant money such as the current funding, subject to your vote today. I have previously stood before you and asked how you can come up with a distribution formula for the $75,000. I asked you then to consider just dividing the money equally between the 5 intended recipients. And sadly, although you seem sincere, not much information was shared, nor do you seem ready to change your minds and help our town's needy citizens. I then spent time with you at a work session. I am especially focused on the $20,000 to be given to our town's aquarium. I heard that the aquarium needed this money because during the COVID pandemic, had to pay its employees to care for the aquarium exhibit and to feed the seals, fish, and penguins. At our food pantry, which shut down for only 2 distribution days during the entire pandemic, we continued to feed Riverhead residents in need, to feed those nutritionally challenged, to feed children and the elderly. We even delivered to shut-ins those unable to travel to the food pantry on distribution day. And while I can sympathize with the stress on the revenues the pandemic placed on the aquarium owners, I am compelled to point out that the CARES Act provided several methods to offset these unexpected expenses, and these CARES Act methods are not available to the Church of the Harvest Food Pantry because we do not have employees. So I have to ask, when you consider distribution of this $75,000, did you ask the aquarium if they took full advantage of the IRS tax credit made available first in 2020 and then extended in 2021? if they explored their options under the CARES Act and particularly the employee retention credit, I am sure they would have recouped the $20,000 you are now to give to them. I would ask once again that you divide this $75,000 windfall money into equal parts, $15,000 to each of the 5 recipients. The work of the Church of the Harvest is to feed people, which greater causes to support the feeding of those in need.
Good evening. Evelyn Hobson, Riverhead. While we are all thankful that we look around today from where we were last year, the picture looks brighter. But we also know, and what we learned during the crisis was just how many people in our community are living on the edge of financial ruin. So many of our families would not have been able to survive without the help of our local food pantries. And while our COVID numbers are down, the need for our food pantries has not diminished. I am here tonight to request that you realign the distribution of the Round 3 CDBG money and the distribution of Round 2 funding of the CARES Act. Both Open Arms Soup Kitchen and Bread and More Soup Kitchen received $10,000 each of the $50,000 distributed to not-for-profits. Both of these groups do excellent work, and I thank the town for recognizing their contribution and ongoing commitment to help feed our community. I am here tonight to ask for the same consideration to help feed our community by Church of the Harvest. I respectfully request that you amend Resolution 523 to give Church of the Harvest the same funding as you have the other pantries in Riverhead. Our community needs your help to make sure that as we together weather this crisis, families are able to put food on the table. Thank you.
Dawn, can you come forward on the distribution? I know that this was discussed, I believe, at a work session recently.
Yeah, we had a lengthy discussion at the work session, and we outlined the reason we made the recommendations that we did. And I think I had pointed out at that time to the board that the Church of the Harvest actually received $10,000, not from the COVID CARES money, but from another resource that we had, so that we could get them the money quicker. And the others had gotten 8, so actually Church of the Harvest did get more than they got in round 2. And so in round 3, we recommended, Church of the Harvest had requested 5 to 10, and we recommended 5. The others had requested more, excuse me, my voice is a little short. Stop the Violence had requested 25, we recommended 5, and the other, I don't remember offhand, I think you have it on the resolution, had requested, East End Arts had requested 25, and we recommended 5. So Church of the Harvest, again, got more than, closer to what they requested than the others did. So that was the basis for our recommendation, and we continue to make that recommendation, and certainly will support Church of the Harvest and any other food pantries. We felt that their delivery service was important to the community and needed to get funded as quick as we could fund it, so that was one of the reasons that we went in that direction.
And Dawn, this isn't the last of the CARES Act monies, right?
There may be another round, yes, and in addition, the aquarium was only eligible for this round of funding. They won't be eligible again as a private for-profit entity. It was just for local businesses that were struggling, anchor businesses that were important to economic development in the town, and so that was why they were eligible during that round of funding. In future rounds of community development block grant funding, as in past rounds, for-profit entities are not eligible.
Okay.
Win Mac, Church of the Harvest. I understand I did get $20,000, $10,000. That was for 2020 and 2021. We had to show bills that we accumulated for that $10,000. And I don't know how people can expect $10,000 to a food pantry that has to give out so many. Last month, I served 1,082 people. So if we do that every month, that $10,000 is only going to last a couple of months. So the reason why I requested 5 to 10,000 was because I thought it was going to be divided equally among several different agencies, not just mine. And as far as the aquarium, they also can recoup their money very fast because they charge quite a lot of money. Thank you.
Greetings, good evening. My name is Juan Michelli Martinez. I live on Newton Avenue in Riverhead, downtown. I'm here in support of a more fair and equal distribution of the CDBG money which has been allocated to the town for disbursement. We are fortunate to have made the strides that we have as we hopefully exit this public health crisis. This past year plus has been challenging for businesses and the folks in our community. Some were affected more than others, and many in our community are living very close to the financial breaking point. During the health crisis, many families relied on our local food pantries. Our local food pantries helped many endure this challenging time, and although brighter days are hopefully ahead, the need from our food pantries has remained constant. In previous disbursements of the CARES Act, our pantries received $10,000 each. I'm here to ask if you would consider changing the distribution of the Round 3 CDBG funds, more specifically so that they are dispersed in a more even manner. I'm asking if we can continue to support our community and the work that the Church of the Harvest is doing. I ask to amend Resolution 523 to give Church of the Harvest the same funding as you have for other pantries and other organizations in Riverhead. Additionally, I would like to ask the board to table Resolution 619, which will give a negative declaration to pursue a SECRA review. This was not discussed adequately with the stakeholders and was added so late that the public will not have an opportunity to comment on the structure proposed to be built at 205 Osborne Avenue. At the very least, Suffolk County Historical Society and the library should be given opportunity to comment. Thank you.
Any other comments? Chip? All right, hearing no one, Diane, can you please call the resolution?
Certainly. Okay. The first two need to be untabled. That's Resolution 523 and Resolution 563.
Okay, in Resolution 523, I make a motion to untable it.
Second.
So moved.
And I'd like to call for discussion. I would like to ask to amend the resolution so that after we take the money off the top for the senior center, that the other funding is distributed equally.
Do we have a second on the amendment?
Second to,
Did anybody second?
yeah,
Take
I
it off the
second
table?
to take it off the table,
All
yes.
right, all right. So we need to vote on taking it off the table.
You need to vote?
Right.
Okay, there was no
There's
discussion.
no,
You're going to take it off the table first before.
right, I think we have to,
Okay,
I
then
think we have to get off the table
Okay,
first, so.
sure. Rothwell,
Yes.
Dayrot,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution 523 is untabled. And now I'll call Resolution 523.
Acceptance of funding for the CBDG 2019 COVID CARES Act, round number 3. So moved.
Second, please. Who's seconding?
I'll second.
And so I.
Hold on a second. Oh. What are we doing here? So,
Well, it's moved and seconded, and I think there's
Asking
a
to
desire to
amend it.
have, there's a
Councilman wants
motion
to
to
have a
have a discussion.
okay, so you want to have a discussion?
Yes,
On
I'm
this one
asking,
after-
I'm asking to amend the resolution so that we take off the money for the senior center first and then distribute the rest of the funding equally amongst the groups.
Do we have a second on that request from the board? Not hearing anyone, we're going to move forward. Diane, we're going to take the vote.
Okay. Rothwell,
Yes.
Dayrot,
Yeah, a great thank you to Dawn and her staff for doing such a great job. This grant money is so important, like Gwen pointed out, to so many different people, and hopefully there will be more in the future, so I vote yes.
Kent,
Well, I am disappointed that we didn't distribute it equally. I know that all the food, we have such great food pantries in Riverhead. During the lockdown, I worked very hard with all of the food pantries, and certainly I was at Gwen's, at the Church of the Harvest Pantry quite often, and they were serving a lot of people and working very hard. However, much as I would like to change the resolution, I don't want to hold that against the other people on here. We do need to move forward, so I will vote yes.
Hubbard.
I certainly appreciate, Gwen, everything you do. All of our food banks and the Bread and More and the other food pantries do a fantastic job working with very little. But having said that, and I'm not minimizing anything against any of the groups in here, but if you look at the groups that are here, one of them is a multi-million-dollar operation, and they suffered tremendously during the COVID, as did just about everybody. So to make it fair and split it up, I think you have to compare apples to apples and apples to oranges, and this is more of an apple to orange because not all of these businesses operate at the same level as each other. So that's why I favor doing it the way that it is, and I vote yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution 523 is adopted. And now I call Resolution 563 to be untabled.
Catherine?
I call to untable Resolution 563.
Second.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution 563 is untabled. Now we'll call Resolution 563 for adoption.
Adopts a local law to amend Chapter 217 entitled Buildings, Building Construction and Improvements and Housing Standards of the Riverhead Town Code, Building Permit Fees. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Thank you to the hard work for the building department put this together. Andreas, thank you. I vote yes.
Bayrock.
Ditto. Great job, guys. Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Much needed for all the work that goes into these, I vote yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. And we'll move on to Resolution 590.
Economic Development Fund, Z14, budget amendment. So moved.
Somebody second it?
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
I don't know that you can talk about this. I'm just wondering about the legal fees on here. Is that something that can be discussed publicly? I say
mean,
that,
in what way? I mean, this is a budget transfer, and it's being done to utilize some of the funds that have come in order to pay legal fees that are outstanding. I'm not sure.
I thought I had seen that this was something with the cars.
Well, it was. The money was derived from the license agreement that was entered into with Insurance Auto Auctions. The monies are being adjusted or taken from that rental to
Okay.
put in the line so that we can pay legal fees that we have presently incurred.
You've been collecting these
All right.
for years.
Right. Yes, I'm aware of that.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
vote yes.
Okay.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 591.
Budget adjustment for Riverhead Sewer District Fund for screen repair. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 592.
Budget adjustment for Riverhead Sewer District Fund. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 593.
Calverton Industrial Park Capital Water Project number 82116, budget adoption. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 594.
Went right past it. Conic Farms Capital Water Project, number 82117, budget adoption. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 595.
Approves expenditure of trust and agency account funds and community benefit funds for playground at Veterans Memorial Park and scoreboard at Stotsky Park. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Well, anytime we're able to add recreational facilities in our town, it's great news. We are adding a playground here for ages 5 to 12 at Veterans Park and adding a scoreboard there at Stotsky. I vote yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre,
Yes, and this is something that the baseball team had reached out to me 6 months ago, telling us the need and how important it was. And with COVID and kids needing to be outside, to socialize, to get exercise, to learn teamships. And I'm so happy I was able to put this resolution forward. And yes, I vote yes.
resolution adopted. Resolution 596.
Approves expenditure of trust and agency account funds and community benefit funds to Jamesport Fire District, Manorville Fire District, Riverhead Fire District, and Wading River Fire District for training and equipment. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell,
Spoke about this at our liaison meeting the other night to the fire department. They are all very happy to see these funds coming, $25,000 for each of them. So I think this is a great assistance to them. So I greatly vote yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
I'm glad to see this money going to our fire departments, and I'd like to take a moment to thank them for all of their hard work. I vote yes.
Hubbard,
For all the men and women that volunteer their time in our fire department, we so appreciate it. And it's a feel-good moment for me on the town board to be able to vote yes on this, to allow money for them to advance their training and other needs that they have. So I vote yes.
Aguirre,
Yes, and this was an effort, Tim, if you remember, December 2020, when we knew that there may be a possibility of receiving pilot money, we decided to designate it and make sure that our first responders, the ambulance, is also part, they're getting the vehicle that they need, and we just carefully broke it down, and I'm happy that we're able to give this to our fire department, and thank you for your service. Be safe, because I know it's an ongoing safety concern with you and your family, and yes, absolutely.
resolution adopted. Resolution 597.
Approves expenditure of trust and agency account funds and community benefit funds for replacement of cupola at George Young Community Center. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
And I'm very pleased that we're doing this to the Jamesport Community Center. A few years ago, Helen Duryea, many people who live in Jamesport know her. She maintains things at the Jamesport Center, and she wanted to have the cupola painted, but the cupola was in such bad shape. Our engineering department said they were concerned about even getting up there, that it might disintegrate. So this is great that we're getting this done, and I vote yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre,
And I want to thank Dawn Thomas. I know when you reached out to me about 6 months ago and said, do we have funds? Where should it be directed in Jamesport? And this was the location that we selected. We brought in the Jamesport Civic, and they were static. And apparently, at one time, they had to order the plants. We're going to store water in it, so they have their own irrigation system, so they can beautify it to the next level. We are making it handicap accessible, and we're hoping to start the process by the end of this month, possibly next month, and have everything ready for installed by the end of the fall, and by next spring, the whole place is going to pop. And we're very happy to do this for Jamesport. Thank you, Dawn, for working on this with the Civic Association, with myself, and it's good to see this come to fruition. Yes, you always have the freedom to do the work. I call you guys sometimes my A-team. I shouldn't say that too loud. Everybody's an A-team in Town Hall. Everybody does a great job. Yes.
okay, resolution adopted. Resolution 598.
Amendment fee waiver of special event for North Fork Event Company, North meets South. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
Yes.
Hubbard,
Yes.
Aguirre,
Yes.
resolution adopted. Resolution 599.
Approves fireworks application for Baiting Hollow Club, September 26, 2021. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell,
Yes.
Bayrock,
Yes.
Kent,
I know I'll be watching these. I vote yes.
Hubbard,
Just wondering, they do these fireworks for the weddings they have up there. What do they do when people get divorced? Just curious.
They make their own fireworks.
I vote yes.
Private fireworks.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 600.
Approves fireworks application for Baiting Hollow Club, October 2nd, 2021. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 601.
Establishes standard workday for appointed officials. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution adopted. Resolution 602.
Accepts the resignation of an automotive equipment operator. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 603.
Appoint-
Yeah, I think they're a little out of whack, but.
Yeah, they are. Go for it.
Appoints a maintenance mechanic 2 to the sewer district. So moved.
No, you
We
skipped
just
one.
placed that.
That's
Oh.
why.
604?
We're on 603.
Oh,
Back it
I
up.
must have
It's
missed
Kent,
that.
too.
603.
I don't have 603 in my, no.
Here you go.
Frank, I
Okay.
got two, so.
Okay.
It's all about-
Appoints a justice court clerk, so moved.
Seconded.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 604.
Appoints a maintenance mechanic 2 to the sewer district. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
So this is a bittersweet resolution for me. Actually, the person that the sewer district is hiring is one of my employees at the farm.
Oh, really?
So I applaud him for going through the system and getting the job, but we are going to miss him at the Leasad Farms. He's a great CDL driver and a great mechanic, so best to you, Mark Hoden, and he'll make a great appointment to the sewer district. Yes.
Kent.
Well, sorry, Frank, but he really interviewed great. So I'm very excited to have Mark Hoden on board, and I welcome him. I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Frank's loss is our gain. I vote yes.
Aguirre.
Absolutely.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 605.
Proud of our police. Authorizes execution of an agreement between the chief of police and the town of Riverhead for the retroactive salary increase for the year 2021. And set salary for the chief of police effective January 1st, 2022. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes, and I look forward to working with the chief to ensure that our department has adequate officers. I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Chief, I just want to personally thank you for the work you put in during the past year and a half or more with the COVID. I know it wasn't an easy task, and I think you, along with Supervisor Aguirre, let the town of Riverhead come out of this unscathed. We didn't have to lay anybody off. We were still able to raise up our Moody's rating. We supplied food and items needed to the seniors. I know I got calls from you
Every
morning,
Friday.
day and night, weekends, all the time, and I know you are our emergency preparedness person, but nobody could have envisioned that this would have been something that you had to do with that. Yeah, and a hurricane here and there, maybe, but this was huge, and yeah, knock on wood is right. This is huge, and I, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for all the work you did during the pandemic to make our town safe. Vote yes.
Aguirre.
Well, and Chief, I saw him a lot more than I saw my husband. 18 hours, I had to get him a phone in my desk, and he had his own section. 18 hours minimum, one day, 5 hours on Zoom calls from the governor's office to the supervisors, to the county executive, to the Department of Health, to a FEMA call. 5 hours in a row. We were behind the scenes securing our town, securing our homeless to make sure they got the food and the shelter that they deserve, trying to get vaccines and across the nation, we started seeing the Defund the Police Act, and police officers have started nationwide retiring, They canceled our police academy classes for a year and a half. We weren't able to put police officers in our classes. Right now, we have 7 in, and I think we have 5 more going in the next class, right? This is the first class that, I think it's a year and a half, correct, Chief? In a year and a half that we were able to get officers. As officers are resigning, we couldn't get them in. And when they opened that, I was looking in there, and Chief could tell you that, I was looking to send them to the New York City Police Academy.
Yeah, it wasn't, I was gonna say, it
Yeah.
wasn't a lack for trying, because sometimes we would go to Nassau, or we would go up to the State Trooper
Exactly,
Academy.
yeah.
Not available.
And
Nothing
so-
was available.
We tried so desperately, and when they opened the first class, guess what happened? They had 4 times the amount of officers waiting to be trained, and we got 7 in, and I believe there's a class in November, correct, Chief? There's a class in November, and we have 5 identified. We're gonna hamper up, we're gonna increase our police officers. I don't believe in defunding the police, and we're gonna make sure that our crime rate across most of Suffolk County skyrocketed up, and in Riverhead, it went this way. And we're gonna continue. We have our challenges, and we're gonna work through this. And I wanna echo what Councilman Hubbard stated, that we got through this. We were the first town to open up to Zoom meetings, the first town to open up before, after COVID, while other towns months later were still closed. We were here, and during the pandemic, we were holding meetings. So we're getting out of this, and things are very positive, and thank you, Chief, and I vote yes.
Resolution adopted.
And I just want to add to that, certainly I do not agree with defunding the police. That's not something I would ever want. And I would love to see our number of police officers keep pace with our population growth. If you look at the most recent census, Riverhead is around 36,000, and the number of, police officers that we need to have in our town needs to keep pace with our population growth.
Okay, Resolution 606.
Approves a leave of absence request. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 607.
Resolution and consent approving the dedication of highways known as Calverton Court, southerly portion, Canterbury Drive, southerly portion, and Recharge Basin, Birchwood at Wading River, Section 3. So moved.
Gio's not gonna like this. Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 608.
Authorizes notice to bidders, wellhead treatment for removal of manganese at plant number 5, Riverhead Water District, project number RDWD 1906 NYSEFC, project number 18617. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 609.
Awards bid for removal of household hazardous waste. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 610.
Awards bid for Dow Flake Extra, 83% to 87% calcium chloride or equal. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 611.
Approves the submission of a grant application to the State of New York Unified Court System. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 612.
Sets the fees for the fall brochure. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yeah, I think I did ask that this be separated out by resident and non-resident. I don't believe that change was made, though. I vote yes.
Hubbard.
I think the non-residents are all across the board $10 more for events and programs. I think that's how it's always been.
Yeah,
And I
just
think
thought
it
could
says
say
that
it
in the book.
resolution. All right, thanks.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 613.
Ratifies the execution of a grant agreement with the New York State Department of Health for a lead service line replacement grant and budget adoption. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Dawn, is she, did you put in for this grant? Yeah, can you just explain it so the public knows what you're doing? Because I know you put in for so many grants, and it's always behind the scenes, and I think that, the public should know, what we're doing to get money to support our town, to expand our town, to make it better. So if you don't mind.
Not at all. This was a lead service line replacement grant, so New York
Okay.
State Department of Health offered the opportunity to the town of Riverhead to apply, and we were awarded, I think it's $673,000, and it allows us to investigate, to locate lead water service lines in residential properties and replace them. So the funding can be used to assist the water district in locating those lines and actually cataloging their information in a way that will be helpful for other things in the future. And once we, also allows for publicity for the program, so once we get it up and running, there was a lot of paperwork that was required before we could even get to this point.
I can see.
Yeah.
I know, that's why.
Resolution.
Oh, yeah, I know, it was a lot.
Once we get it up and running, I've been working with Frank on it and John Collins from H2M, and we'll start in earnest. And I think Frank has some plans already for the funding, and I think it's a great project, so.
Right, and we did recently speak about it. I thought it was a different one. I
Yep.
saw the side.
Yeah, yeah.
But thank you again for
Yep,
your
no problem.
efforts.
Dawn, I think you should have a grant clock like above your offices, how much money you're getting each
Yeah,
year,
just-
like watch it grow.
The thermometer, 10 million, we're up to here.
Awesome job.
Thank you. Oh,
Just continue with the vote.
yes,
Yes, okay. Resolution adopted. Resolution 614.
Authorizes the supervisor to execute Suffolk County clerk forms for the recording of an irrevocable offer of dedication. It would be Barclay Erler, Cromer Avenue, Riverhead. So moved.
vote please.
Need a second.
Seconded.
Okay.
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Glad to see this building moving along. It's been vacant for so long. I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes,
Resolution adopted. Resolution 615.
Authorizes purchasing agent to attend NISMPO, I don't know how you pronounce that
Nice
actually.
Sampo.
Thank you, Tim. Local government procurement in New York seminar. So moved.
Second.
vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 616.
Authorizes purchasing agent to attend annual conference of New York State Association of Municipal Purchasing Officials. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
You had to say that. It's the same thing, by the way. How come I had to say that? I vote yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes,
Resolution adopted. Resolution 617. Are we making any amendments to that, Bob? Or
We are,
building code?
Yeah.
my understanding is the board has been provided with a revised resolution, but it was brought to the attention of myself by our building department at about, I think it was 5:15. So we circulated the changes, and what's proposed is the following revisions, and I believe that the board is willing to accept them. Let me take off the mask, make sure I'm being heard. All right, so the first one is that the second resolve, which presently reads, resolved that the town board be and hereby establishes building department fees under Riverhead Town Code, section 217-12 as follows. That's being deleted in its entirety, and a new resolve is going to be added that says that the town board be and hereby establishes building department fees, period, for each building permit where construction costs shall exceed $1,000, there shall be an additional fee of $12 per 1,000, or fraction thereof, in addition to the minimum fee of $200. The basis for computing construction costs shall be the square feet of the floor area of the proposed building in relationship to the proposed use of said building, and/or the cost thereof may be based upon current Marshall Swift valuation cost estimates using local regional multipliers and/or as follows, and that sets forth the fees. The second change is that on pages 3 and 4, the last paragraph, which begins with the words, agricultural buildings, that is going to be deleted in its entirety, and that's going to carry through to page 4, where it ends with the sentence, notice from the building department. The reason why that's being deleted is because the earlier resolution, which actually was the adoption of local law, kept that intact, and there was no reason to have that repeated. So those would be the two amendments if the board chooses fit to move forward.
And if I could just say, currently, this is how the building department does schedule the fees. So just, I think it was an oversight in terms of writing up this resolution. So it's not a new concept, although they're adjusting and changing the fees, it is the same procedure towards how they calculate them.
Correct.
Okay.
So resolution
Take the vote.
617.
So do we have to vote, like, to amend it, or is it just the way it is?
You would
To
vote as
amend.
amended, yeah.
As amended.
Did somebody, did anybody offer it yet?
No, it hasn't been read yet.
Yep. So offer it.
Sets the building department fees under Riverhead Town Code, section 217-12, as amended. So moved.
Seconded as amended.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted as amended. Resolution 618.
Appoints the law firm of Smith, Finkelstein, Lundberg, Eisler, and Yakuboski, LLP, to act as special counsel in the civil action entitled County of Suffolk v. Town of Riverhead et al. In the Supreme Court, Suffolk County, under index number 616977/2021. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 619.
Assumes lead agency status and issues negative declaration for the site plan application of 205 Osborne Avenue, Riverhead, New York, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 600-128-2-21.1 and 600-21-7-22. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
I think Dawn Thomas would say that this is a great step in terms of getting investment in that area, and it's a good addition towards applying for our $20 million grant. So I vote yes.
Bayrock.
Yeah, first step towards a lot of good things down at the Railroad Avenue neighborhood. Yes.
Kent.
So certainly I'm in favor of investment in the transit area. That's an area that certainly needs to be revitalized, and this particular building has been sitting there a long time. However, I think that when a building is going for 9 variances, and the variances, as was stated earlier, include parking, setbacks, buffer zones, lighting, I don't think that's appropriate. I think they're putting too big a building, too much in one spot. And also, I certainly have concerns with this building in its location between the Suffolk Historical Society, which is one of our most beautiful historical buildings, and our library. I think it's too much density right there between those two buildings. I vote no.
Hubbard.
This is the first piece of the puzzle for the TOD. It's very important. I'm glad that somebody elected to develop this property. And as far as the 9 variances required, they may or may not be granted. That's up to the zoning board. If they're not, they would have to adjust things accordingly. But the relevance of this property being developed in terms of our TOD becoming a place that Riverhead's going to be on the map for people, I'm telling you. It's a big yes for me.
Aguirre.
Yes, and I agree, Tim. That's the purpose of the planning board, is to look at and consider input from the public, look at the code, look at the size of a building, look at its aesthetics, and they have some work to do on this building, and we're going to trust them. And again, we just adopted the transit-oriented development plan, and we already are moving with a resolution with a possible site plan in the near future. And so it's progress. It's good progress. It's solid progress. They are moderately priced apartments. This is for your youth, your single professionals, elderly who may not be able to afford or want a big home and just want to be nearby, and that's the purpose. It's near a train station. That's why it's called TOD. They're small apartments. They're not going to tax our school, from what I understand it all, and I vote yes.
And just as a correction there before the ZBA.
A ZBA.
Right.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 620.
Approves A1 Community Cesspool Service as drain layer for the Riverhead Sewer District. So moved.
Seconded.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 621.
Order calling a public hearing for the increase and improvement of the facilities of the Riverhead Water District. So moved.
Seconded?
A second. Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 622.
Appoints the law firm of Smith, Finkelstein, Lundberg, Eisler, and Yakubowski LLP to act as special counsel in the civil action entitled Sunken Pond Estates Incorporated v. Town of Riverhead Planning Board and Town of Riverhead in the Supreme Court, Suffolk County, under index number 617-591/2021. So moved.
Seconded?
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted. Resolution 623.
Pays bills. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please.
Rothwell.
Yes.
Bayrock.
Yes.
Kent.
Yes.
Hubbard.
Yes.
Aguirre.
Yes.
Resolution adopted.
Thank you, Diane. This is going to conclude our resolutions for today, and at this point, we're going to open up the meeting to public comments on any matter. Chief, do we have anyone on,
And good news, everybody, I have another statement to make before the next
Okay.
round of comments.
okay?
So, it is our overreaching goal of this administration to foster an environment that allows for public participation. However, at all times, there must be order and decorum, and speakers must be respectful of the town board and the need for order. Please note, speakers will be allowed 5 minutes in which they can make all of their comments, and the comment period is just that. It is a 5-minute window in which members of the public may let their voices be heard on a subject or subjects, but it is not a forum for back-and-forth dialogue, questioning, and debate. While New York State open meetings law clearly states that it, quote, does not require the public body to offer the public an opportunity to be heard, close quote, the town supervisor is the presiding officer of the meeting and seeks to elicit community participation provided order and decorum is maintained. Please be reminded you will have 5 minutes to make comments. The town board may or may not respond, and if they do, that does not stop the clock. You will be informed when there are 30 seconds left, at which time you must conclude your comments. Please be respectful of these rules and procedures.
Kathy McGraw, Northville. I would just like to apologize to the board. I made an error about doing the neg deck before the ZBA acted, and I didn't do my homework on that, and I apologize. I disagree with the finding of a neg deck, but what I said with respect to putting the cart before the horse was wrong, and I apologize for taking your time doing that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Good evening, how are you?
Good evening. My name is George Gudmundson. I live in Timber Park in Calverton, New York. I want to speak to the board on just a few issues as quickly and concisely as I can. I understand Zoom meeting access has been reduced in a big way by the board. That's my understanding. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I think that's a mistake. I urge the board, I think there are many people who cannot come to various public town meetings, and COVID is still out there. Other people are elderly, challenged, working many jobs, just have difficulty getting to public meetings. I think that town business and town government works best the more people that can participate and give input to you folks. I think it helps you make better decisions. And if what I said is true, if Zoom has been restricted, I certainly urge you all to consider bringing it back to the protocols you had during COVID, where it was much more widespread. Second thing I'd like to speak about is the drag racing at EPCAL. A number of people from Timber Park came here and spoke, asking you folks to not approve the special event applications for the racing at EPCAL. We felt it was going to have a negative effect, and now after a few weekends of it, that time is here. It has had a negative impact on the neighborhood. It has been noisy. It has forced myself, for instance, I had opened the windows of my house to enjoy some of the cooler weather and turned my air conditioner off. I was forced to close them and go back inside because I did not wish to hear the noise that was emanating from EPCAL across the street. That happened on a couple of weekends in a row. Additionally, a number of people in my neighborhood came to me and asked if I knew what was going on. I told them that yes, I did. Some of them were aware, some of them were not aware of the approval of the drag racing, and I encouraged them to contact you folks, and it is not good. As I said, when it came up for your approval, my feeling is you folks, as a board, have put the interests of a special interest group comprised largely of non-Riverhead residents and non-Timber Park residents. You put the interests of my neighborhood, our neighborhood, down on the priority list and approved racing for people, many of whom live outside the town and even far away. And there are other venues for these people to enjoy their sport. I encourage you that when this comes up next year and these folks want to do it again and expand it, I encourage you to do the right thing by the town residents, particularly the Timber Park residents, and vote against this and not burden the neighborhood with it. I also want to report to you one of the justifications for this legalized racing was that it was going to magically reduce the amount of illegal racing and speeding in the neighborhood. I am telling you that that has not happened. In fact, it has gotten worse since the races have started. Okay. Another issue that I'd like to speak on, and this is a compliment to you folks up there, I want to compliment you as a board for voting, and I hope this is true, to continue the loose leaf pickup. I was concerned about that, as were many other people. I commend you for that. There are people like myself. I don't have that money in my budget to pay people to take the leaves away. Would have cost me maybe another $1,000, maybe more. Hidden tax increase. Bagging for my acre with the trees I have, bagging the leaves is not practical, so thank you. And I want, it was said when that was being considered, doing away with the loose leaf pickup.
Sir, you have 30 seconds left.
It was said that, Riverhead's the only town that still does that. Well, it's great that Riverhead stands out among the 10 towns on Long Island, including the 5 towns, the East End towns. And even with our tonier neighbors to the south, we stand out. You guys did the right thing. Please keep that going. Thank you for doing that. And thanks also to Mr. Bergman. I had a concern about an abandoned gas station, looked very ominous. All of a sudden, the gas station was closed up with all sorts of ugly fencing around it. He very quickly and professionally got back to me today.
Thank you, sir. That's 5 minutes. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Well, I imagine you have a lot of leaves in there, George, because I know that's a lot of trees in that neighborhood.
Hi, welcome back.
Hi, Mayor Beth Andreessen, 127 Church Lane, Aquabog. I'm here again this evening because I said you can't get rid of me. I came to you a month and a half ago because of the increased traffic on Church Lane. I spoke to one of your town board members who came to my house and witnessed. We have a lot of issues going on there, and nothing has been done. There is not a curve sign. There is not an advisory speed reduction. That's what we have. We have multiple curves on that road. And I just spoke to the chief, and I think it's very interesting that this is a year of an election. And I think I'm being tossed aside until see what the new people come in and going to do. And the traffic is worse. We now are into fall. We're into the peepers and the pumpkin people and the apple pickers and the traffic and the weddings and the wines and the traffic on that road, as you've witnessed, it's Church Highway, not Church Lane. And I implore you, my neighbor still has left the mirror up. He has not said one more thing. My heart's in my mouth every day about it. You can see, not great, but you can see to get out without getting killed, hopefully. Thank you. Hope you do something for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Mary Beth.
Certainly, I see that Church Lane is a big cut through, Mary Beth, particularly during this busy season.
If I can just address your complaints as well. Yes, I was at your house and so forth, and I take it very serious, and you act, there's no question about it that there are great traffic concerns there. The chief and I met, you joined us, at our traffic safety meeting, and I believe, Chief, even if you want to speak, come forward, we did address what I believe that you were having signs and so forth to be installed by the highway department. They were put out there. I thought that some of them were installed right away, but I guess it's not completed.
None of them. Okay, so they will be.
So I make
wanna
a
reach
commitment,
out?
I'm going to follow up with the highway department to make sure that they're in place for you and do the best we can. But you have genuine concerns, and I'm trying to address them.
Okay, thank you, Mary Beth. Yes,
Tina Kingsep from Lake Ronkonkoma.
good evening.
Good evening. Good evening Supervisor Aguiar, Councilman Hubbard, Councilwoman Kent, Councilman Beirut, which I learned how to say your name tonight, Councilman Rothwell, and congregated citizens of the town of Riverhead and beyond. My name is Tina, and I'm here tonight because I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing the same news stories strewn across News 12, ABC, Facebook, regarding broken-hearted families and the dog they bought from a pet store that they thought was different from the other ones. I'm tired of reading review after review of legitimate consumers using Google and Yelp as not only a venting space, but a space of warning for others not to make the same mistakes they did when they chose to go with the well-respected puppy store in town. I'm tired of seeing store owners and their employees condescend and manipulate a public who are too googly-eyed over the cute puppy in the window to realize everything being said to them about how reputable the so-called wholesome breeders these dogs come from is all a lie. I'm tired of receiving another and another and another pet store-bought puppy come through the doors of my workplace with parvovirus, kennel cough, pneumonia, physical deformities, all of which the store owner and the vet that inspected that pet before sale swear up and down that there is no way that animal got all of that while it was in the store's possession, as they throw money at the family in a form of a refund for their sick or dead pet. I'm tired of those against the bans not talking about taking the time to understand it fully and how it will not affect legitimate private breeders, only stores that work directly with puppy mills. I'm tired of seeing animals treated as products bought for pennies compared to the profits made in store. I'm tired of our local elected officials passing the buck. The amount of times I've heard, well, the real problem is puppy mills, start by banning them, makes me want to scream. How can anything get done on a grand scale if we don't start somewhere smaller? Isn't that the beauty and the whole functional point of having smaller legs of government within a larger body of government? We have a role to play, and this is your time as the council of the town of Riverhead to make a difference, not only on a hyper-local scale, but potentially by creating a ripple effect through all of Long Island and New York State. How empowering and satisfying can that be? The New York State Assembly failed its citizens and the animals that were counting on it by blocking New York's statewide ban on the sale of cats, dogs, and rabbits in 2021. By allowing the bill, which passed in the Senate, to go to a vote and have then Governor Cuomo sign it into law, we would have been joining the likes of 5 states as well as over 400 municipalities in upholding a humane business model in our pet stores, cutting off the puppy mill pipeline from New York and discontinuing the havoc pet store owners wreak on its families. Because there is no statewide ban, and since our state is divided into counties and towns and municipalities, right here is exactly where we can start. We can't reach the giant without taking care of the henchman first. There's absolutely no reason not to support this ordinance that Councilman Rothwell has brought forward, unless that reason is to continue to allow store owners, puppy brokers, and puppy millers to make thousands upon thousands off the abuse of the mothers and fathers of their products, as well as to continue the heartbreak and spread lies to your very own constituents. Store owners should be happy to have the chance to pair with local animal rescues and shelters to find those animals the perfect homes. After all, aren't we all in this for the animals? And while at the end of the day, this isn't a perfect world, and unfortunately, money does talk, so maybe this is a language that some will better understand. Do you know what will happen if a pet store's storefront is open for adoption? That family that visited with that rescue dog multiple times and have approved to take them home will need a crate, toys, food, potty training tools, and they can get it all right where they adopted their dog from. They'll be forever grateful that they were able to trust a pet store that partnered with a legitimate local rescue, because that partnership led them to finding their new furry family member. I'm tired of hearing the crocodile tears of puppy store owners across the state over ordinance that are proposed just like this one that will completely destroy their businesses. To that, I say, you had a choice to operate humanely when you first opened, and we have no sympathy that your inflated profit margins may decrease, since you'd no longer be making thousands in profit off of one sale while directly supporting an abusive, corrupt, and absolutely horrid industry. I'm tired, and if you are too, vote aye on this ordinance so we can all sleep a little bit better. Let this be the first domino in a line of widespread change for the good of the animals. After all, we still need to cut off the giant's head eventually. Thank you. Tina Kingsep. Tina Kingsep. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Diane, I believe she sent in a correspondence, so you probably have it already.
Yeah.
That was.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Next? Good afternoon.
Hi, good evening. Good evening,
Good
Supervisor
evening, actually.
and council members. My name is, let me take this off. My name is Joanne Cave, and I'm a resident of Suffolk County, Wisconsin. I'm here tonight to speak in favor of the proposal for Town of Riverhead to prohibit the sale of commercially bred dogs and cats in pet stores. Yesterday, I emailed you a link to an undercover investigation of New York pet stores conducted by CAPS, which is the Companion Animal Protection Society, which included several Long Island stores, one of which is located not very far from here in Manorville. I hope that each of you will take the 13 minutes and 29 seconds to watch it before you vote. Animal neglect and consumer fraud are inherent characteristics of the retail pet store sales industry. I applaud the action of introducing this proposal to your existing animal law. But if the intent here is to truly pass a law to protect animals, it simply cannot allow for the grandfathering in of stores already operating under the current business model, representative of the very cruelty that the proposal means to reject. Last month, the state of Illinois joined California, Maryland, Maine, and Washington in prohibiting the sale of commercially raised puppies and kittens statewide. New York, with more than 60 puppy-selling stores, is currently in the middle of a 2-year legislative session in which the Puppy Mill Pipeline Bill already passed the Senate twice, and it is in committee in the Assembly. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Massachusetts all have active bills, and there are several key local ordinances votes coming up. Nearly 400 localities across 30 states have passed a ban like the one you are now considering here. As the public continues to become more aware of the abuses of animals in many industries, they are voicing their disapproval and forcing change. This is evident in the cosmetic industry, where major manufacturers have stopped testing on animals due to consumer demand, and top fashion companies eliminating real fur due to the overwhelming amount of consumer opposition. Many businesses must evolve with the changing times, and retail pet stores selling live animals is one of them. Public awareness about the egregious legal living standards of breeding animals at licensed USDA facilities, the places where retail pet stores source their animal inventories, will soon also compel stores selling live animals to also embrace a more humane business model for the future sustainability of their businesses. Kudos to Councilman Rothmel for bringing this to the floor and increasing consumer awareness about the horrors of where that puppy in the window originated from. Legislation like the one proposed here in Riverhead will help drive the pet market towards more humane sources like shelters, rescues, and responsible breeders. I thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Valerie Heffron. Good evening, Town Board.
Thank you, excuse me, thank you for having Councilman Rothwell, specifically, thank you for having the good sense and the moral spine to propose this anti-puppy mill ordinance.
Can you state what town you're from, ma'am?
Yeah, I apologize. I'm representing Voters for Voiceless. We're a New York State Registered Board of Elections authorized multi-candidate committee based out of Great Neck, New York, but we
Okay.
are statewide.
Okay, so
So-
you're from Great Neck.
The world is becoming more compassionate. Joanne covered a lot of great points with that. I don't want to repeat what she's saying. However, between the fashion designers, there's a huge uptick in veganism and vegetarianism, the cruelty-free cosmetics, etc. The writing is on the wall, and to this township and to the small business owner who was here earlier today, who owns the pet store within this township, I offer the following. We understand that change is not easy. The angst and anxiety that you're most likely experiencing, including to the other council people and board members, it's understandable, okay? I know that you are used to operating in a certain way. You don't want to be begrudged the opportunity to make a living. However, I propose a winning solution and formula. When you do the right thing, and let me be clear, the right thing is not only what's legal. If we recall, there was a point in time that slavery was legal. For the women in the room, you weren't able to have your own bank account until the year 1972 because it wasn't legal. Right now, the horrific and inhumane standards that USDA-approved commercial, which are puppy mills, offer are that. They are inhumane and cruel, but they are legal. So here's your solution. When you embrace this humane business model to not source your puppies, kittens, and rabbits from puppy mills, kitten mills, rabbit mills, you will be the first township on Long Island to do so. We will support you. We will revere you and celebrate you. We will endorse you. And to the pet store owner, we will do the same. Be the first. Make the change, because it's never too early or too late to do the right thing. Just as a quick reminder, in Florida, 50 out of 67 counties have already embraced this legislation. Illinois was the 5th state to pass this on a state level. Councilman Rothwell, your words really struck a chord with me. You don't have to wait for the state. Why not lead by example? Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm so short. Short people problems.
Can you,
Kerry Michael, Bayport, New York. Good evening. My name is Kerry Michael, and I'm a volunteer with Puppy Mill Free Long Island and an advocate for humane legislation. Before I begin, I'd like to point out most of the opposition for this puppy mill ordinance is from that who have vested interest in blocking it. So far, we've heard from you, Supervisor, unhappy you were with your golden retriever purchased in Queens, and Emilio Ortiz, who never mentioned he was an employee from City Pups, New York City at the last meeting. Neither of which places are remotely under the jurisdiction of Riverhead in which this ordinance is to be passed, and neither of these testimonies included the names of the stores they were referencing as examples of humane stores. Supervisor, you stated you purchased Hunter, your golden retriever, in a store that was open for 50 years, and whose store's longevity, I suppose, is meant to convey credibility to the establishment. Upon researching both New York's Business Entity Database and New York State Agriculture and Markets, I couldn't find any pet store open for 50 years. Seeing how you've stated not only on public record, but also in the media, how you purchased a dog from a Queens pet store that doesn't source from puppy mills, could you please share with us the name of that pet store? Also concerning your dog's AKC accreditation, I feel obligated to explain that the AKC is nothing more than a registry. It's not a health guarantee.
Furthermore, I think it's important to advise that all puppy mill legislation ever proposed across the globe has strongly been opposed by the AKC. Another speaker against the humane ordinance is David Schwartz, an attorney representing pet store lobbyist group called Puppy. He's a great orator, and he should be, seeing as he's being paid thousands of dollars to convince us that New York pet stores conduct business with the utmost integrity and do not need to suffer more regulation than what they already endure. Maybe we should reflect on how much money is being paid by this industry to protect the rights to abuse animals and profit off of their suffering. These are essentially paying, I apologize, for the rights to abuse animals and pass off the exorbitant veterinary cost of sick animals onto unsuspected consumers. Consumers who trust in the government oversight and consumer protection. And why shouldn't they? Now more than ever, this ordinance needs to be passed. The USDA, who's responsible for overseeing and regulating breeders, has pulled back on inspections. Instead of citing violations, they've been instructed to give teachable moments in which abuse is never publicly recorded nor any penalties given. The USDA has also decided they will no longer require breeders to renew their licenses annually, but instead every 3 years. Yet we keep hearing from those that profit from the industry and how highly regulated and well enforced they are. Pet store regulations aren't much different when we consider that they only have one scheduled state inspection annually. I took the liberty of printing the last 3 years of inspections for both Puppy Experience and Sportsman Kennels. 5 of the 6 were critically failed inspections. I'm happy to leave with you. 1 was a general fail. At the last meeting, I noticed both Keith Lewins got up to the podium and vehemently claimed multiple times they welcome regulations. It sounds good, but is really just a cunning strategy to avoid the passage of a puppy mill ban in exchange for a toothless regulation they'll find a way to work around. If they really wanted to be regulated, they could have self-regulated years ago by sourcing from more reputable breeders, and we wouldn't be here today. However, pet stores can't self-regulate because it's financially impossible for any one pet store to purchase dogs at a higher price point and compete with identical-looking puppies at a lower price point than other pet stores across Long Island. Example, let's say Puppy Experience were to buy a humanely bred puppy for $1,000 more than the puppy across the street for an
Ma'am, you have
identical
30
puppy.
seconds left, ma'am.
Which store do you think is going to stay in business? No pet store can afford to compete in this market by purchasing more humanely raised puppies when consumers are going to see identical puppies for substantially less at another store. So what do you think happens? Based on the research of Puppy Experience and Sportsman Kennels shipping records and breeders, many demonstrate puppies are not bred and raised in a healthy and safe environment. Many of these shipping records for New York pet stores also stated the puppies are acclimated in temperatures from 95
Ma'am, that's
to
5
10
minutes.
degrees Fahrenheit.
So you've had 5 minutes to make your comments. I'm sorry, we have to
Can I just close in 10 seconds?
move everybody on here.
Can I please just close in 10 seconds? In closing, I would like to reshare the best advice you claimed, Supervisor Aguilar, you received. Advice I hope you keep in mind when voting on the passage of this ordinance. The quote reads, "In government, you serve the people best when you serve them first." It's time to focus on the victims, both the animals and the consumers. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Curry. And I just for a point of reference, no one that I know abuses animals, and I hope to never know that type of person. And we are going to vote on this legislation, and I thank you for coming from Bellport here to state your comment. Bayport. I just want to clarify that I do not support puppy mills or anyone who abuses any type of animals, and I want to make that very clear.
I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you. All right, it's not a back and forth, so, yes, ma'am, how you doing? Good evening.
Rubina Santo from Brookhaven.
Okay.
I'm just here to say that I'm also supporting the bill.
Mhm.
All right. I've lived on Long Island for 72 years.
Okay.
I've always had animals, I've always had pets, and it kills me to see what happened, how these animals are treated in the places where they're bred. And I challenge you to find any puppy store owner who has actually gone out and seen the places where their dogs are bred. They would not be in the business if they did. That I can promise you, all right? I'm not a resident of Riverhead, but I've worked out here for over 10 years, and I love Riverhead. When I saw that Riverhead was coming up with this bill, I was overjoyed. It's like my second home, all right? So I beg you, please, consider all the sides to this, all right? Consider not just the puppies that suffer and their parents, but consider the families that suffer when they take home a puppy that they fall in love with. Their 8-year-old daughter got it for her birthday, and 2 weeks later, the puppy is sick, and 3 weeks later, the puppy is dead, all right? It's an investment. For a lot of people, they think that they're buying something that has tremendous worth. The worth is what comes from their heart. It's not the amount of money they spent on the dog. If you spend $600 on a watch, you can replace that watch. You cannot replace what came from the heart, what your child took when you brought that puppy in. So please, please consider this. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Rowena.
So it seems like it's past the open comment period. Where is this legislation?
It's going up to
Yeah, the
vote.
open comment period ended yesterday.
Yep.
Okay,
That's
so it'll
coming up
be
to
on the
vote.
next meeting?
Yeah.
That's the hope, I think. But because it was only yesterday, the close of the public period, it wasn't trying to get anything added on, because we need to
It's going to be
get
back
into
up.
the system a week ahead of time.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Takvi Turchin. I'm with Greater Calverton Civic Association during these public comments time. Just have four comments. The first one is regarding comprehensive plan update and the public meetings. The first of which has already occurred September 13th, including Aquabog, Northville, Laurel, Jamesport, and South Jamesport. And the feedback that I learned about that meeting was that there was about 40 folks who turned out because the location was over in Shade Tree Lane in Aquabog. And that there was a very big difficulty technology-wise, and I heard tonight that someone on the board has mentioned that they're going to be addressing that.
We have to address it, Toby.
I
I
would like to finish. I don't want
Okay.
to release my time to you just yet.
we
Thank
will.
you. So the second, third, and fourth meetings, September 27th, 8th, and 9th, will have, let's see, the 27th is Wading River in Manorville, the 28th is Calverton, Bating Hollow, and the 29th is Riverhead and Downtown, all of which are right now slated to be held at the Shade Tree location. And my feedback to you is this: proximity will really help that turnout. Folks from Calverton and Bating Hollow have a 25-minute round trip travel to go participate in that meeting, and I can tell you that that is going to make a very low turnout. My request would be that you use the location where we hold our civic meetings, which is the Riley Avenue School, which has an accommodating large space, it has Wi-Fi, and I think that it would definitely go a long way in helping the numbers turn out. So my number 2 and 3 and 4 comments are, I did say this last time I was up here, I think last time there was a meeting, Zoom for all Town of Riverhead meetings. You did a great job in starting it up, and we want to keep the public participating. I'm sure you do too. The third is, thank you very much for having the 6 p.m. meeting. I noted, and I have noted before, that out of the 24 meetings for the year that are scheduled, 19 of them are 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which is 79% of the time that you're putting out a public meeting for people can't attend during those times. 21% are 6 o'clock meetings. I'd like to see those percentages change, and I know a lot of people would as well. You want people participating, not just listening. So I'm sure of that. And the fourth is, I'd like to reiterate my request to have the resolutions that come to you to the board as on your work session days. I think they come, someone might have mentioned that they come the day before your Thursday session. I would request that you please put them up online on the website so that the public can inform ourselves adequately. And you can certainly put draft on there with the understanding that final comes out after, obviously, the vote And I would also ask that the letters, I noticed there were 37 letters on tonight's correspondence. We would also like to read, I would, and I know other people would, so that's the we I'm speaking of. We would like to read those letters before the meeting so that we have the information at the appropriate time in order for us to speak adequately at this public comment time or at the resolution times. So very much would like to see that happen, and I thank you very much for your attention.
Just a comment on that. Certainly, I favor bringing back the Zoom. I think what we're looking for is to getting more people to participate in meetings, and it was very convenient for people within the community. I agree, we need to have more 6 o'clock meetings. But one other point that I'd like to make that I found particularly disturbing tonight, I do not think that Devin should be asked to read that statement. I don't think it's necessary. I mean, if there's an issue, we can talk to someone about it, but I find it insulting, unnecessary, and disrespectful, and I think it sets a bad tone for the meetings. I don't think we should be reading that statement. We're not having issues. If there's an issue, our town attorney or someone can address it, but to have that statement, asking someone to read that statement, I have a real problem with that.
Well, it's read at different points, so it's read doing, before the resolutions, doing open comments, people come and go, people come in late, so it's just to refresh everybody. It's done, if there is a comment section, it's done 3 times. And some people, again, I saw people coming in at 7 o'clock, they did not hear the first statement, so it's fine. We're gonna move on. I don't think it's insulting, it's just to clarify, and to ensure, especially during a public hearing, that the whole board is addressed, not people taking their own personal agendas to, attack a particular person. A public hearing is to hear from the public, not attacks. And so we're just making it clear, and we're gonna move on, and good evening, sir.
Actually,
Welcome forward.
people come to the meeting to speak out on issues, that's what people do.
Yeah, sure.
That doesn't mean that's an attack, that's people speaking on an issue. And I think it is very disrespectful that is being done, and 3 times tonight. It's just unnecessary and disrespectful to our public. And once again, I just think it sets a bad tone for the meetings. And sometimes people are in the last few sentences and they are getting stopped or cut off. I understand if someone's going on a very long time, perhaps, but, we are here to work for the people.
Yes, absolutely, and I agree, and you're next, sir.
Hi,
Good
my name
evening.
is Carl Arbeiter. I'm from Calverton.
What's your last name?
Arbeiter,
Okay, Carl.
and I'm from Timber Park as well. The drag racing wasn't too bad to me, so that's one thing. My big thing is EPCAL. I wrote an article in Newsday, which was Kids Day when I was in elementary school, 3rd grade, about what we should do with Grumman, the EPCAL property. And 3 of them was entertainment, which is like an amusement park, a racetrack, which probably never going to happen, in a natural park or something like that, so we can preserve what we have there. It's a beautiful property. I would just hate to see it turn into another aviation place like Grumman was, and having planes and everything fly over my house and the peace and quiet. That's my big thing about that. The next thing is HK Ventures. With that intersection between 25 and Fresh Pond Avenue, there's no light there. So we're looking at even more traffic on that road, especially with trucks that take in stuff in and out of that section. And it's already kind of dangerous enough just to even turn left out of there to go east. So, and I know the state's working on something, but that's not until at least 2 years out. From what I remember from a year or 2 ago. And also there's a cafeteria that they're proposing to put in there. The cafeteria, there's other businesses locally, like there's a pizza place there, there's the Tex-Mex place that's in the Calverton Plaza, and you also got Bean and Bagel, J&R Steakhouse. I think it's kind of unnecessary for that to be there, as we have local businesses and we should be supporting them as much as possible. And I appreciate what the town has been doing, and I hope we keep going forward with everything. And this is my first time up here, so I'm really
Oh, you're
nervous.
doing fine, Carl. Come back again.
Yeah, no, I will. It's,
Yeah.
like I said, EPCAL's a very important thing for me, that I lived in Riverhead for 32 years, and I hope to participate in the community for all the stuff that's going on. So, because I didn't make it in time for the solar, and I'm
That's why we read the statement again, so you
which is help,
understand it.
which is helpful. I just appreciate that there's a moratorium going in place so that we can figure out, what we really want. And I wish those lands that were used for farming and other stuff instead of solar, but solar is going to be happening as everything is. And I thank you for your time.
All right, thank you,
Thank you.
Carl.
And
Have a good evening.
Thank you for your comments, and actually to your points about HK Ventures, that is a massive industrial park that everybody should be looking carefully at. But I do suggest that you come to the master plan update meeting for Calverton and Bating Hollow, which is coming up.
Ms. Swift, how you doing? Anybody waiting? She wants to go last. You want to come forward, ma'am? Yeah. How are you?
Hello, how are you? My name is Marilyn Arias, 70.
What is it?
Marilyn.
Marilyn? Uh-huh.
Do you want to spell it? Arias. Yeah, and it's 75 Huffman Avenue, Lindenhurst.
Just bring the microphone closer to you, please.
Oh.
You don't have to tell your street and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't.
Just your town.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Too much information.
Go ahead.
I'm here to support the puppy mill resolution. I rescue a doggy, and every time I go to the puppy stores at the mall and the shelters, it's unnecessary. We don't need puppy mills. There's so many at the shelters. When you volunteer, it's so sad to see them there, and it would be great that if we could bring them to stores and find them a home. And somebody else said earlier, money rules the world. And maybe I'm too optimistic, but I think values and ethics do too. So I hope you consider that and pass the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. And I understand, my husband and myself have my son actually, had volunteered at the Southampton shelter. I mean, that was his first job. It was my son at 17, to sign up, learn how to care for dogs, understand, and puppies and cats. And my husband had to drive him there. So then he signed up to help him because he figured I have to drive him when to wait in the car. So, and that's good. It was an experience. And actually, there were certain dogs that were so traumatized, and because of the size of my husband, you see he's big, he's the only one that could take out the dogs because they were scared that they would bite, because they were so traumatized. What was the dog's name you got close to? Seuss. There was one in there, very aggressive in his lifestyle of how he came through, and he was the only one that they allowed because they were scared, younger kids, and my son was only 17 and smaller. So we understand that. And anyway, anybody else? Did you want to go last? Is that correct? Okay. Anybody else before we close the meeting? Okay. All right, Ms. Swift. Welcome back. You're always here.
First, I'm going to address, Grace Swift, Calverton.
Okay.
I'm going to address the drag racing. I think by now most of you know I was for it. Diana and I were there 3 times, 3 different days. It was magnificent. It was awesome. I never saw a bunch of more happy people. It was just unbelievable. There was, at the very end, the last day, I asked, was there any trouble at all? It seemed the ambulance never moved, the tow truck never moved. I believe not one cop moves to do anything. That was the report I got from the guys running it. It was out of the box the way you thought, and I thought that was magnificent. We got to try different things. There's people who like things that are not here yet. It was absolutely magnificent. Change of subject. Are we going to get leaf bags this year?
Here's our highway liaison.
It's in the budget.
Devin, can you come here?
And does the town have a couple of dollars to buy a can of WD-40 for that friggin' door back there?
Gonna offset the
I'll
budget.
personally get it for you, okay?
I'll bring it up if you can't get it. That is annoying all night. Do you agree?
Yeah.
I knew I was watching your face every time.
But Denise was saying it's been like that for 30 years.
Horrible.
I think we'll come up with a WD-40, Grace.
What?
I think we'll get the WD-40.
I appreciate it. It's very annoying to hear that.
Why don't you use the other door?
I don't know, everyone uses that one. That's it. I do want to thank you guys for the magnificent time we all had up at that racetrack.
Yes,
Every
it was
one of
very
you.
well received.
Thank you.
As always, thank you to
Thanks,
you,
Grace.
Grace, for your
For everything
feedback.
you do. All right, everyone,
I just have one announcement, excuse me for interrupting. I just wanted to announce that the Anti-Litter Committee is having a litter pickup this Saturday. It starts at 8 o'clock here at Town Hall. It's from 8 to 10, and we certainly could use more volunteers, so I'm asking everyone to come out, join us, and help out on Saturday morning, and let's make our town even more beautiful. Thanks.
okay, everyone, thank you, and this concludes our meeting for today. We hope that you remain safe. Any issues and concerns, call out the supervisor's office or look online for the specific department. And can I have a first and a second to go to close the town board meeting, please?
Motion.
Second.
All opposed? All in favor? So moved, and be safe, everyone.